Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions.
It's Circle Back, episode number 14, right here on the Circles Off YouTube channel. Part of the Hammer Betting Network, presented by Underdog. This is the show where we review the week that was in gambling Twitter. And boy, was it another great week. Rob Pizzola here, Kirk Evans, Jeff Feinberg, Jacob, the Giant Gramenya, producing the show today. And we haven't had a CLV discussion in a long time. Closing line value discussion. We're going to start there this week with Pips. For those that don't know, Pips is Vedran Ericic. He's in Croatia. He's part of the Hammer Betting Network. He does a daily show called Pick and Roll over on the Board YouTube channel every single day with producer Jacob. Pips is a great guy. He's been part of the Hammer since the beginning. And we're going to start here where Joel Gideon tweets a Bet365 screenshot of him betting an over on a Donovan Mitchell prop. This was a very early bet. It was into like a non-mature market. It was either an overnight or really early in the day, and says they cannot be fucking serious. And he's identified a good bet here. He bets Donovan Mitchell over 20.5 points. Probably should have been lined at around 22.5. So he's got some decent EV on this bet. Pips quote tweets it and says, "I strongly advise people to not do this. You're going to lose a good Bet365 account for literally $10. $10 is roughly the EV that was on this play." He then goes on to explain that the Bet365 account could be worth way more than what he's using it for right now. And he also talks about closing line value and how books will tend to limit you based off of closing line value. So let's start with that original conversation here with Pips. Point or not a good point?
I think it's a decent point. I think one thing that Pips, that's important to remember is not if you can win at Bet365 on really early props, it doesn't necessarily mean you can win midday betting props. So I don't know who this guy is and what type of bettor he is.
Right.
Joel
Gideon.
I don't know how good of a bettor he is.
Right.
But this might be his edge. And I don't agree that books look at CLV the same if you bet 50 or 150, especially with an overnight prop. He's probably even if it's a totally fresh 365, if he bets over $500, let's say it's probably going to Trader. That's a way bigger chance that your accounts can get limited if you send it to Trader. But I do agree you can absolutely make more money on a 365 than $50 picking this off, but it really all depends on how good of a bettor you are and if you can win later in the day.
How do you view something like this when you see it?
This is just so frustrating because I'll look at it from the outside what the F else is Joel supposed to do?
Okay.
Maybe he should have been allowed to bet more. I'm not sure. Maybe this is the limit because you mentioned how early. When this came out, I didn't even know where this,
Yep.
I needed you to explain to me. I understand having the 2 points is good, but just seeing Donovan Mitchell over 20, I don't watch enough basketball to know.
That's a bad number or whatever, yeah.
Sure. And there's so many times I've lost accounts making good bets just because I'm an aware consumer with friends, and I have friends who are smart bettors.
Right.
And I can just base this on line shopping and knowing that not only does McDonald's sell hamburgers, Burger King and Wendy's and the local great old school diner also sell hamburgers. I'm just going to shop at who's running the best promotion today.
Right.
I don't understand. So it's just so freaking frustrating because I have been limited for this same reason, doing exactly what you would say is bad to do because I've burnt accounts.
Right.
And then I'm in their customer service yelling at them, telling them, you are the dumbest people on earth. call my bookie. Call the guys at the offshore. Like, they will tell you, like, you must have the dumbest operation on planet Earth. If you think you if you want to end our business,
if they're not going to take Jeff Feinberg's bets, whose bets are they going to take? Basically,
So it's like, I get limiting like sharp people, but I feel like the algos, they honestly don't have a clue.
Well, that's Pips.
They don't have a clue.
This to me is a very sensible comment from Pips. Now, listen, it's really challenging in the sports betting space to apply it to everyone, right? For all you know, Joel, like you said, Kirk is a losing sports bettor, and he's just mixed in a good plus EV bet. It's not going to harm him at all, probably in the grand scheme.
How many times you have a tough night and like you don't even want to be looking at the book? You're like, shit, I'm getting off the mat tomorrow. Let's see what's out there.
Sure.
I have no idea. Like, I'm just saying, I don't know if he's smart. Maybe just the night before it didn't go well, and he's like just foaming at the mouth to get in there for tomorrow.
But. What I would say is that there could be a detriment to doing that. Whether I know exactly what you're saying, Jeff. Like, maybe there's actually not a thought into trying to get good closing line value here. It's just a guy who's on his computer, he's rattled, he's tilted, he's making a bet. It's fine.
Or he won the night before and he's seeing the board clear and he's like, I'm seeing it like full. Clear eyes, full hearts. Like, I'm going to check out the board right now after a hot night.
So this is a guy who has 23,000 followers who gives out free picks on his Twitter account.
Got it. Yeah. Also, him saying they cannot be fucking serious clearly implies to me that he knows that this was a bad line.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
So then why isn't he betting more?
So he's a good bettor. He's a good bettor.
Well, he could be undercapitalized.
That
That could be his bet size within his bankroll. I don't know.
He understands sports betting and bets often and knows about limits.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I'm just like, if you're going to tweet like, you can't be fucking serious about a line.
And you bet $100 on it.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a big bet for him.
And maybe that's just the limit they'd give him on this early number.
I highly doubt it because the limit wouldn't be 100.
It'd be like 87.40.
It would be more like $2 or $9 out of 365. But also, exactly. It wouldn't be a clean 100.
I will say with this though, there is the point that Pips is trying to make, which I agree with, and this mostly is going to apply to winning bettors, is that I've seen this happen a million times, and I make this same mistake even nowadays, even though I preach this stuff. Sometimes you see a line where you're like, this is a bad line. Can I get away with betting this? And you convince yourself that, like, you know what, I'm just going to hit this one, and you might end up losing the account because you do it at a really bad time. You get really good closing line value, a trader notices. So generally speaking, when you are going to play that early and you are going to build up good closing line value, you put yourself at a higher risk of losing the account. And if the account is valuable to you and you want to bet into it over a long period of time, you probably shouldn't be doing that stuff.
Obviously, they've got their numbers that show we are like just better off kicking off more sophisticated squares than we should.
Right.
Like people that they're not sharp, but they line shop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, they're not the sharpest bettor like me, but when I make a bet, I'm getting the best fucking number.
Well, the thing is,
and I'm good.
But sportsbooks don't like that behavior either.
I agree.
If you're constantly betting best price in market at their book, they're going to catch on at some point.
And I'm gone.
And you're done.
But what am I supposed to
Jeff
wait
Feinberg,
for?
Guy who was going to shovel money to whatever sports book, they're like,
yeah, because I'm still a guy. Like I love a good standalone TV game.
Yep.
I'm going to bet on my favorite teams. Like I have, even though there's square tendencies, I know they are. I know when I'm doing them.
Yep.
Like I'm still want to do all those things, but still, I'm still like capable of making savvy fucking bets. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know, perpetually online or have some smart friends. I don't know.
Yeah. You got access to the Forward Progress group chat. You're going to get in good on some Hitman props.
So that's what I mean. So then I get the prop, and then whichever book, I'm obviously not the first person on it, but I have enough sports books that one of them is moving slow on it.
Yeah.
And there I act on it, then I'm limited. I didn't even bet hard enough.
So outside of that original conversation, Duncan steps in here and he doesn't understand what CLV is. He asks Pips to explain CLV. CLV's closing line value. Basically, it's a measure of whether you're getting out ahead of the market or not. Typically, in sports betting, good closing line value, it would be an indicator of long-term success and has been for a long time. BetLab Analytics steps in here and says, there's no scientific proof. I've done studies on BetLabs There's nothing profound about CLV correlating to long-term wins. Because if so, you can't cherry pick. If there's 25 on a board, you'll have to play all 25, and no book is red flagging $10 bets. I live in sportsbooks. I don't even know what this is supposed to be.
I didn't understand the last part at all.
25 on the board, you'll play all 25? I don't know what that means.
We're all in the same boat here. Very confused.
But he's saying CLV doesn't matter.
Exactly. This is going to turn
That's
into a
overall
long
point.
back and forth here between Pips and BetLab Analytics that says CLV doesn't matter. And he keeps talking about BetLabs. He says CLV is basically a myth. Look at Yanni the Greek. It's all he preaches all decade on Wager Talk, and he doesn't win shit with a poop emoji. There's a lot going on here. So for context, BetLab Analytics is Tweety Dimes from back in the day. There used to be a very famous Twitter account called Tweety Dimes who was known for, I don't really know, a very entertaining account. He watched every pitch of every inning of every MLB season once, or so he claimed. We were doing the math on
impossible.
it. It was nuts.
That just can't be true.
That's awesome to claim that.
Oh, it's
That's a great
epic moment. One day we're going to do a Circles Off episode with some people who were OGs on gambling Twitter, and we will tell the best stories that ever existed over time. But Tweety Dimes, unfortunately, ended up partnering with some guy who convinced him that numerology was real. And they started handicapping games together based off of numerology. Like the day of the week it's the 32nd day of the year, and the moon is whatever. It didn't go well. They had a falling out. The guy stole his account, his original Tweety Dimes account. So the Tweety Dimes account now is not the original Tweety Dimes. He had to create BetLab Analytics. So for people who don't know and they remember Tweety Dimes, it's BetLab Analytics right now. But I don't know how many more times I could really do the CLV argument. Like it's pretty apparent now if you bet and you get good closing line value, especially at recreational books, you get limited. It's going to happen. If it hasn't happened to you, you're not getting good CLV. But the fact that books are limiting based off of this stuff should already go to show that they're scared of people that could get out ahead of the market. And it should kind of be case closed at that point.
You would think it's case closed.
Okay.
And you would think it doesn't really, you don't need to be that, like it's not a complicated scenario to figure out why it's important, how it makes sense that it's important. I don't even understand the case against it. Nothing could be more important.
I mean, technically wins and losses.
Sure, but like you don't know that before the game.
You can get limited.
Right.
I'm talking about before the game, nothing.
Good CLV.
Yeah.
For sure.
Had to happen.
Oh, I've had it
all
happen
the time.
before. It's
God,
the most
I
annoying
hate
thing.
it.
And I get
Let me
like
get the chance to win my money back.
there's nothing more memorable. Like the most memorable losses are the CLV losses.
Of course. The one where you got such a great number, you pat yourself on the back, you feel like $1 million at kickoff because you're like, I did my job, market moved in my favor, it loses, and you're like, fucking.
And the
closing line
psychology, like you'll remember for every CLV loss, you'll remember more than like 4 CLV wins.
value. Yeah.
But it like, can you imagine getting like who wouldn't want CLV on every bet they make?
Yeah, I mean, it's understanding market dynamics is all, right? Like the way that the market works is that as the week extends for an NFL game or for NBA, as the day goes on, limits start to increase as books start collecting more data on games. And the people that are betting later and later into market for large amounts of money are usually the ones that win the most and have that bankroll to do so.
Like everything you do in life, like from a gambling perspective, you're getting like the best number in market. Like I don't even understand how there's enough on the other side to argue against it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it makes sense that BetLab Analytics is a big numerology guy, and we know Pips, he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Winning better. Like, it makes sense which side you want to be on in that debate.
Well,
Like, do you know the sort of shame you feel when it goes the other way? Like, not actual shame. It's such a gross feeling. You refresh that screen refreshes, or the number pops, and it like moved against you.
Yeah.
It's like such a, I don't know, it's like the most it's like a very just like even though it's private, it's not like anyone else knows I made this bet.
Yeah.
It's between like me and the site. It's not like I've shared this even, but it's just such a demoralizing feeling.
The most shame I feel as a bettor is when I'm doing a live watch along of Forward Progress and we bring up a live line and I'm like, I think this is a good bet. And then I watch in real time as the market moves against me on that bet. And I just got to sit there and just own it. It is very demoralizing to have the market move. Like you feel good about a play and then someone basically like shit takes a dump on your chest, basically is what happens. And the market moves it's a terrible feeling for a bettor.
There's some like hyper recreational bets like first touchdown on an offshore that I find like just move against me instantly. But I also just feel like it's not really me. Like I'm betting this thing like earlier in the day.
You think they got a system in place, Jeff? As soon as you click it, they move the number.
Yeah. I just think
this guy's such a mush.
No, instantly is a stretch. I just mean like I'm just betting into that market too early in the day, and that's the sort of thing that like sort of fluctuates kind of hard. And they're just looking for more action later. But even when I go back, like I know they're gonna reset these things later. It's still even to lose like 2 points, you feel like the something goes from 16 to 18 to 1. You feel like such a goober.
The thing that I find the most confusing about that whole back and forth, and I've read it many times. First of all, I will say Pips is such a nice guy. Okay, he's so level-headed and down to. He's one of the most open-minded people I've ever met or talked to. For him to get triggered hard by someone, you gotta know that like he is deep down
too open-minded. Because there's a certain level of a conversation here where it's be like arguing with someone like the sun or the moon.
I was thinking the same thing. Like,
it's like you're almost too open-minded to like be willing to have the respect to engage in something like so what I believe is a universal.
Yeah, like Pip should have a level of like, I'm not going to engage with someone who knows this level of
this
betting. And
this last one
analytics
set him off. This one was where he gave up.
Shit's more meaningless than you think. Yeah, I get
I didn't
that.
include the rest of
I mean,
it, but yeah,
it's
that
really,
was it.
It's really
Yeah, of course. People like buddies go to Vegas like on a guy like they just hammer some bets. They have a great night. They're not looking at a market. They don't give a shit what the opener was. They don't care which way it moved, how it moved, why it moved. Like, of course you can win ignoring it. But I wouldn't bank on it.
Well, listen, if I was getting into like BetLab analytics used to be Tweety Dimes, right? The joke on Twitter was Tweety Dimes is going to lose his bankroll over and over and over and over. Like that was the thing, right? And listen, I'm just stating it as it is. But he was pretty publicly tracked by people back in the day, and he was a terrible bettor. So for me, I would have probably saw this comment and I would have said, I'm not even going to bother arguing because it's a moot point. There's no point. He sells picks. He's bad at doing so. But what really confused me about the whole thing, and I haven't used the BetLabs product or even heard about it in a long time. So BetLabs originally came up as part of Sports Insights. Dan Fabrizio, who I love that guy. He was originally as part of that founding team. I think he's part of the unabated team right now. But BetLabs is just like a trend analysis tool. It's basically allowing someone to comb through historical data and create systems, right? Okay. So it's like if the spread is between 3.5 and 6.5, and a team is playing at home on extra rest, and it'll show you historically how teams have done in that type of position. It's a very dangerous tool put in the wrong hands because people just assume that
it's trends with a Z.
Exactly. It's the trends.
Exactly.
I don't know how you would use BetLabs to determine that closing line value is a myth. Like, I'm very confused about that. I don't really know where we're going with that.
Just want to confirm, that is just like something he needs to say to defend himself. BetLabs doesn't have like a documented piece on it being a myth, right?
I highly doubt it. I mean, there's lots of ways you could do this, right? You can run error metrics against the opening line and a closing line. Really simple. Log loss, whatever you want to do. MAE, RMSE, whatever metric you want. Sorry, I'm getting too into the weeds now. But it's pretty clear that the close across all the major sports is still more accurate than the opener. Now, there's definitely an argument to say that the gap has decreased over the last year in specific sports, NFL being one. I don't know about NBA. Maybe you would know better than I. But
It's not something I track, actually.
But it's still a universal sign someone knows what they're doing. And also, I think one of the reasons, and now we're really getting into the weeds here, that closing line value may not be as I want to say beneficial, may not mean
overrated
as much as it used to, is because I actually think that there's people out there now, the really good bettors, who are trying to disguise
Maybe
and like mess around with
It's a lot
closing
of
line
money.
a little bit, because really
A lot of money.
ultimately your goal as a bettor, not your goal as a bettor. The way you can succeed the most is to win with no closing line value.
Oh,
or
I
limited.
can see how that can work, and I can only fathom the level of scale for which you have to be betting
Right.
the other side.
It's like we want to bet a
then
position that we
eating
think is
the
valuable,
juice.
but we don't want it to close well.
But eating the juice on the it's such a level of scale I can't even fathom, and to be that good, I'd be so envious of it. That's so cool.
I'll say this.
Sometimes I feel like we're being worked by some monster systems, but to actually be able to do that,
yeah.
I would say that I'm pretty well networked in the betting space.
Yeah.
I know a lot of bettors, a lot of very successful bettors. Not only have I never met someone who claimed to me that they win with no CLV that I think is like trustworthy at all, I've never met anyone who says they know someone who wins in a major market with no CLV. So I think it exists, but I think it's extremely rare.
it's also the thing where it's like I don't care if you're a losing bettor. Everyone can be a losing bettor, like on a run. Show me your history.
Yeah.
And it's just based off the CLV. I will like be able to, detective whether you're like actually good at this or bad at this.
It would be one of my first, let's say I was a trader at a sports book and I was reviewing someone's accounts. Or I do this all the time with people don't know this, but like I will tail some people on Betstamp. I've said this publicly before that they are actually tracking their records properly. You could see that they're tracking against sharp books and not just recreational. But like I have a pretty good sense in my head of being able to determine who is a winner and a loser. It would be very hard for me to stumble on an account, even with a large sample, that was tracking and winning, that had no closing line value, and say, yeah, I'm going to go tail this person's picks. I would never do that. I simply wouldn't.
Agreed.
So like to be like good buddies with a sportsbook director,
Yep.
and then you just like no. I guess could then and then be like, oh, this person is betting on this. Would you be fearful that the bet you're getting is like the layoff and not the real bet?
No.
I don't mean the director. The sportsbook director is happy to take
Yeah.
a big bet at the number he believes is a good number.
Yeah.
I'm saying like you could just be like, oh, that person, we respect him. He lets his group chat know, oh, buddy just came in on this.
I don't even know what you're asking me.
Me neither.
The sportsbook director
Yeah.
can see who's making.
Are you
the
referencing
bets.
anyone in particular?
No,
or is this,
anyone.
Okay,
Anyone. I don't
Any
give a
sportsbook
shit.
direct. They could see all the bets in real
All
time.
the bets.
Yes.
So they know, like smart, like they see it all,
Yes.
and they can.
They determine where to move the line based off of the bets that are coming
Are
in.
they all like huge bettors? Is that a really dumb question?
And anyone who's moving a line?
No
No.
sportsbook directors.
Yeah, because it's like they
I
have
don't know if
insider
they'd be allowed to
information.
bet
I don't
on
think
other
they
books.
can.
Yeah.
I don't think they can. I think it'd probably be some sort of... I actually don't know the answer to that, but I would assume it's
Like, are they allowed to bet, even at different books?
Probably not, would be my guess.
I don't
But
know
maybe.
the answer to that.
Okay.
We'll find out at some point. Might be worth it for a future discussion. All right. Farley bets. Chris Farley. So he's had a few tweets that have been tagged #CircleBack. Reminder, you can use #CircleBack if you want us to talk about something on the show that I want to get into this week. For some context, Chris Farley was part of our team at the Hammer here in the early going. He had a show called Total Redemption. Jacob,
Yeah.
you used to produce that, right?
I did.
That was in the early going. And then, we just parted ways after a little bit of time. It wasn't a lot of the stuff we weren't doing wasn't working. It's not a criticism of Farley at all. But anyways, this tweet came out. Weekly reminder that respected gambling accounts that yell at you about models and probabilities don't know what they're talking about. I've won 116 units and 2 Circa contests, 264K, since becoming a pro, the last 4 NFL seasons, and I only use team rankings and my own notes. Team Rankings being a website that publishes, I call it like pretty basic data for all the major sports. He's talking about his 2 Circa contests, which were quarterly. One was a quarterly win, I believe. I think the other one was he cashed.
He finished like 5th or 6th.
Top 5, something along those
7th,
lines.
8th,
So 2-time cash.
a good
in
cash.
Circa contest.
I think 2 years ago.
So we have that tweet. Then we have the one where this is coming off of the Houston LA Chargers game. Sorry, Jeff, to bring this up. I know it's hashtag too soon for you. He says there were 0 signs that Houston would show up like this tonight. Kudos to all Texans bettors, but you didn't take a position on them based on verifiable evidence, to which point a lot of people responded harshly. He then says, please stop bitching about this tweet, or please continue. I apologize, wouldn't want to offend, but don't expect me to give a shit. And he goes on basically saying that there was no, like, essentially valid reasons to take the Texans. And then closes off with our third and final here, which is I deleted the Twitter app from my phone, so I can't constantly check it. And 12 hours in, it's been awesome. Highly recommend. More to say on this later, because the reality is I truly don't give a shit what you or anyone thinks about my betting takes. Very freeing move.
Typically, people who delete Twitter and don't care are also tweeting at that time. That's a very normal thing to do. Like, I don't know. He has me blocked on Twitter. I actually don't remember why. But yeah,
maybe because you're a data guy and you dismiss the eye test.
Well, the idea of saying, okay, model. I can see someone criticizing like model-based betting. I could see how someone, like, I would say the best bettors are typically betting model-based.
Yeah.
But I could see how some model-based bettors are closed-minded to non-model-based bettors. But saying probabilities, like, if you are betting and not thinking in probabilities, there is just no way to win. That is all betting is having something that is more probabilistic than the books are pricing it. Saying probabilities, people who talk about probabilities don't know what they're talking about, just makes you come off as someone who knows nothing about betting.
All right. So being friends with Rob for, I don't know, probably close to like maybe more than 15 years. It took a while. But like somewhere along the way, I discovered it clicked that like no, it actually like betting on sports is a math problem. It's a math problem.
Yep.
Not like I love ball, I love watching ball, I love cheering for my opinions, or maybe even like a preseason take to be validated somewhere along the way. Farley, like what he's done, I want to so badly put on a pedestal. And let me explain to you just why. Because winning in these contests is hard. It is so hard. And then to be able to do it with like team rankings and my own notes, and I take my own notes, and then the tweet about the Texans Chargers game is like he is just like, by his own notes, he means like my ball knowledge, my eyeballs. I sit on Sunday, I watch all the fucking games, I see every play. There's nothing that you're like, I don't care what your modeling has to say. And I like almost, because that is a very like island take, I would assume, from a lot of people who even participate in those contests, that I want to be like, wow, man, congratulations. You fucking sit there, you don't like, you ignore these models and projections, and you're literally just having these two binks on like, ball. On ball. But at the same time, that it's like I want to, but he can be, I don't know, throughout the year, there's just a lot of like, woe is me tweeting, insufferable at times. So which makes it hard for me to want to like put him up on a pedestal. As for this Texans Chargers thing, I don't know. I can just read a message I wrote to Rob on Saturday morning. I believe there's a clear demarcation point between the people who are picking the Chargers and the people who are picking the Titans. I know you watch everything this week. You will tell me there's freaks and geeks on both sides. I don't believe it. You respond, what do you mean? I say the people who seem to have systems and principles and a consistent way of going about things are all on the Texans. The eyeball bros are all on the Chargers.
Yeah.
That's the exact. I'm pulling it from my phone.
I remember you sending that to me.
And I know you. Whatever. I don't need to debate. I know there's sharps on squares on both sides, but I didn't like. I don't know what anyone with like a process seemed to me like completely. He said they had no reason to bet them. Their process. There was a process. The Chargers didn't have a wick of expectation all year. They played 17 games without an expectation. Then all of a sudden, we're 3-point fucking road favorites in a playoff game. And sure, they dropped the ball. They fucked up, but they were situationally, they were walking into a fucking hornet's nest.
Everything in sports betting comes down to a price at the end of the day. It comes down to a price. And in my opinion, whether you're doing this via like a math-based model or even eyeball testing, whatever, the eyeball test, you have to be able to make an accurate number on the event that you're betting in order to win in the long run. And some people might be able to do that in their head without an algorithm. They might be able to create their own power ranking systems, power ratings, and whatever, and beat the market and do it that way. And that's fine. I remain open-minded in terms of ways to win at sports betting. But fundamentally, I think it comes down to being able to create a number on a game. And in this particular instance, I hate the playoff games are not hard to price. Okay? There's a lot of data. And even though the Texans weren't good this year, there's still a way to price that game in to determine who should have been favored and by what, right? It's not because like there's gonna be scenarios. I'll give you an example: Giants and Ravens. Really bad scenario because Giants didn't cover the game. But like if I'm gonna bet the Giants in that game, I'm not betting it based off of like, oh, the Giants are they're gonna run the ball down the Ravens' throats, this and that. It's the number is too big. And I think it's too big, so I want to bet the Giants. They didn't cover the spread in that game, but that it comes down to being able to quantify what the number should be in that game.
The ridiculousness of this tweet is that he doesn't reference the price at all, like you're saying. So, like, what happens if someone got in Texans +7?
Yeah.
Would Farley have said that was a bad bet?
Right.
What about +10? Like, exactly. It doesn't matter about who was playing well, that's all what you need to put into the price to get a line. So like having no reference of like what was a good price, what was a bad price, but if you bet on Houston it was bad.
But it's so fundamentally stupid.
Yeah.
It's like don't bet the underdog in the game because there's like nothing telling you should bet the underdog.
And none of the people I believe who are like excited that they hit a Houston bet had anything to do with the future. Most of these people, like in your sort of circles, Rob, like the single, like fuck the like you have the single bet on the game. Like the future is just this like omnipresent thing. It's unrelated. It's unrelated. Now, someone like me, like for I've got Big Eagles Super Bowl future. What I want to bet them on the weekend because like I got my future. I'm gonna ride or die with my future. That's not how like you like people who aren't me are like smarter bettors like deal with their futures once we are at a certain point. It doesn't matter. It's there. You have it. It's in your portfolio. But it's irrelevant to you predicting a game or celebrating a one-off win.
Yeah.
So I don't understand any of it. And even like I want to so badly be like this, the ball, like the eyeballs, his eye test is binking these contests. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I counteract that because I have no respect for him telling like projection guys to like get lost.
I agree. So if we go back to the first page here, I completely agree with you here. So there's a few things. I've kept up with what Farley's been doing ever since we parted ways with the Hammer. And again, it had nothing to do with him necessarily. When I chatted with him on the way out, we had a very good conversation. I would say it was like a very cordial relationship. We kind of understood that it just wasn't working. Since then, I've had his podcast on my Spotify, and whenever I see a new episode, I'll try to listen to it. And I listened to one right after he won the Circa Quarterly, which was, I think, Q3 this year. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most upsetting things I've ever listened to in my life. I say that in all seriousness. It actually completely changed my opinion of Chris Farley as a person.
After he won.
Because the 10 minutes of that, the first 10 to 15 minutes of that podcast was my ears were bleeding, but I couldn't stop listening because I wanted to hear it through. And it was basically an F you to everyone, right? It's like, F you if you didn't believe in me. I told you I could do this. But what really struck me and really got to me is that, like, congratulations on the contest. There's actually an element of, there's always going to be an element of jealousy when you don't win something. I haven't cashed in a Circa contest. He has. He's going to always have that. But there is this market that exists, the betting market, outside of the contest. And he views the contest as like the gold standard in the space, whereas I don't. I just want to win.
But he's not alone in that.
I agree.
Yeah,
but
Fez agrees.
He's not alone in that.
I don't
a lot
even
of
think
people
Fez would
do.
agree, honestly. I don't think he would. I think he would.
That was mostly a shot.
Yeah.
Obviously, the betting market is an 1,000 times better indicator of how good you are versus a Circa contest, especially a quarterly one.
That's like my whole thing is like, okay, if you think like you're this great NFL bettor that you're using your own notes and stuff, well, guess what? Like, there's this betting market exists.
But he says he's up 116 units.
But when you win,
when he's selling his play, like another thing. So like,
when you bink, you're allowed to. I know you don't like it, but like when you bink like that, 19-1, you crush the segment, you win, was like 120K.
What have I always said about this space? What bothers me the most in this space?
I don't know, but I don't know if you feel like you're being attacked. I don't know. Some part of internet rules say you're allowed to like flip birds back.
Sure.
Like you just binked 120K. I'm not saying that word again.
Oh, no. I agree with you.
It's out. But like you just brought that home. You cashed. Like if you feel people been attacking you,
yes,
you're allowed to stand up there and flip the bird too. So I don't want to hate on it. Like, I can't. I feel like that seems very petty to hate on him for that. I think.
Well, okay, it can be. I am a petty person. I will very much admit that. Like, for me, when I listened to that podcast, it actually felt like he was speaking directly to me. He might not have been, but it felt that way.
I don't think he was speaking.
No.
He might have been.
That could be also like maybe you're right,
Okay,
but that could also be main character syndrome.
When I see
that could be main character syndrome.
100%. I'm not denying.
I like this side of Rob. Let him cook.
I am purely speaking to how I feel. I could very well be wrong. I'm just telling you how I feel. I look at this tweet. I see weekly reminder, and then in quotations, that respected gambling accounts that tell you about models and probabilities don't know what they're talking about. I think
he's talking about you.
I think he's talking about me.
He might as well have at Rob Pizzola.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I would see you as a consortium of people, but like you think you are a one of one on this tweet?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I
Maybe. You think it's in the range of outcomes?
I think it's within the realm of possibilities. I think it's unlikely.
Right? I don't think he's entitled not to like me.
I see him, put it this way, Rob. I see him over the year, like it seems like there's a lot from his account, goes at it maybe with other people. He likes to defend himself or literally acknowledge bad runs. I don't know. And I don't see you on the internet like going at him. So like maybe in your head you like disagree, but I think there's actual like battles that like from the last year that he's
I'm trying to remember the last time.
to.
I think I saw Farley at Bet Bash last year, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know that we chatted a whole lot other than acknowledging each other or something like that. But like there's stuff that it really bothers me. Like I look at this tweet, right? Since becoming a pro, the last 4 NFL seasons, he worked for us at the Hammer. We started in 2022, okay? He had a full-time job at that time. He was definitely not a pro sports bettor. I'm very much aware. So it's misleading. It's like putting your. I've won. How do I know the 116 units is real? He keeps a Google sheet. I mean, what?
So I want this. I want if we could rewrite the tweet. Maybe at Rob Pizzola, you pretentious fuck from you and your respected gambling account.
I would respect him a million times more if that was the case.
We came into this not knowing what this segment was.
No,
we were completely blind. I didn't realize Rob thought this is one of my favorite segments.
I thought it was clearly a worthy segment. The guy's he's taking shots at model bros.
But I didn't realize you thought it was a shot directly at you.
It is, man.
I love that.
I mean,
Go.
I believe he considers you part of like a pretentious fuck community.
Okay,
I don't know that you are being singled out, but maybe you are. Maybe you are.
Mind when he typed out respected.
Maybe you are.
I don't like how you two are trying to Rob Wine down. I'm trying
sorry.
to
Okay,
wind
sorry.
you up as much as possible.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
you.
he is saying, "Fuck you, Rob Pizzola. You're an idiot."
This is almost like Fezzik. He is what's it called?
It's different. It's very different. It's
subtweeting. Is he?
Yes,
he's
he's
subtweeting.
He's subtweeting
you.
The Fezzik's very different because at the end of the day, with Farley and here's what gets me. Okay, this is what drives me crazy about the people who they fundamentally just like don't agree with the market. They're like, yeah, you know what, market's wrong, this and that, and if it is, you should be a fucking gazillionaire.
Yes,
because if you actually think that the betting markets are wrong, closing line doesn't mean anything, and you're smarter, there is no reason that you should not be a gazillionaire. You have unlimited liquidity, which you can bet into. And I don't know Chris Farley. I know he's not a gazillionaire. That's what I do know, okay? So first and foremost, he is selling picks, for one. What is the need to do that if the market is wrong? Talk this through in your head. You are sharper than the sports betting market. Your opinion matters more. Why would you not be just betting those opinions instead of selling them? And why, when you're selling them, the market does not react at all? To eventually, your opinion would mean more because people will be like, well, this guy's better than the market. Stuff would start to move. That doesn't happen. This is just logic, okay? Pure logic. So I do not like ego when it doesn't make sense. Okay?
Yeah.
That's my and I do view this as a direct shot at me because I consider myself a respected gambling account
who
talks about models and probabilities
and the seriousness of the market and how you got to respect those game day markets.
I mean, this guy tweeted on Christmas Day an NBA total moved away from him by like 8 or 9 points.
He said his favorite bet was Lakers Warriors over 229.5.
Yeah.
It closed 220.5.
No injuries?
And no injuries. No injuries.
Just checking.
And the game landed 220.
He lost by like a half point or something like that.
No, he lost by 9 points, but he would have won if he bet the closing line. So maybe it landed 221.
Like, that's insane to me that the market moves 8 or 9 points against you and you just dismiss it like it's nothing.
So
that is insane behavior.
And sort of, choosing your own adventure on how you're going to cap and win and do it works. Your bigger beef, other than the fact you feel you're being subtweeted, is it is like irresponsible because he's had this success in the contest and these are actually not the proper way to be doing it. Or you're just mad about the subtweet.
I don't even know what my point is now. I've been worked up. I'm worked up.
No, because like clearly
I'm just speaking I don't know that
he's
there's a
selling
point to
picks.
Yeah.
And he's telling people
there's a betting market. If you are great at betting, guess what? You can make a ton of money. That's it. Plain and simple. The best bettors make more money than the other bettors. That's the way it works.
Damn
Congratulations on the plus 116 units
So you more mad that you think you're being subtweeted or that he's somewhat like promoting irresponsible
misrepresentation?
Yes.
Number one.
Yeah.
Definitely subtweeted.
You feel a personal attack here?
I feel personal. And listen, I mean, I'll hash it out with him on the side at some point. I'm not like going to deviate from these opinions. Like Fez texts me every time I mention him on the show and we hash it out. I'm not scared to talk about it, but that's how I feel about that. Final point I will say, announcing on Twitter that you're leaving Twitter, that's got to be like... Come on, like have some self-awareness.
Announcing on Twitter that you've left Twitter for 12 hours.
To come back.
There should be a penalty. The only thing that should have that bigger penalty is when like defenses in the NFL get a turnover and they go to the other end zone and they pose and celebrate and even jump in the flag and then you see like the ball rolled on the carpet. Yeah. That's the only thing worse than saying I'm leaving Twitter and then being back in a little bit of time. The only time I deleted Twitter off my phone once.
Yeah, you went to Blue Sky.
No, never. I actually can't imagine being a sports fan who would have left Twitter.
Yeah.
And like on Blue Sky. I don't understand that. I don't even know if that person. Well, maybe they exist, but that's the weirdest person ever.
Great segment. That was a great segment. I didn't see it going there. That was great.
That was a surprise. We do a lot of prep I do a lot of prep for this. I wasn't expecting that.
That was epic.
I mean, I could see how there was like a hint of Rob feeling him and his ilk were attacked. I didn't know that it was like a straight, I actually think this is a one bullet chamber for me.
I'll tell you, like, I think what really happened in this situation here was, by the way, this was included because it was tagged. Circle back on Twitter. Most of the stuff included in this show is stuff that you guys tag for us, and I see it. I think this had been building. It had been building since I listened to that pod. I listened to that pod, and I'm like, wow, this sounds like it's like he's talking directly to me. And then we had like the Christmas day, and I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. There's no point in, and it just built. And then we got to this particular moment, and it's,
I hope it was cathartic for you.
It was all right. It was all right.
But like, you had a very good NFL season.
I did.
You didn't need a public, it would always be nice to like have a big check and a public tweet from Twitter saying you did something awesome. I
don't need to be validated at this point in my life. Honestly, people know what I do in the space. I've worked with many people who would. I don't need the validation. Other people have not received that validation, and I can understand how that can be triggering in a sense. Like you feel like, well, I'm doing really well. I had this great second half of the year NFL. Like people aren't taking notice. Why aren't people talking about? I understand that. That's human nature, right? A lot of that is, but I don't need validation. I don't. People rip me on Twitter all the time. Show your tickets. Do that. I don't care. Like I don't care. I literally don't care to do that. If I did, I would. Plain and simple. I want to take a quick second here to talk to you about our new sponsor at Circles Off, Underdog. Now, I'm big on product experience. I have a product background. I used to work for another company back in the day. That is my main focus, and I think Underdog has a product experience that's worth talking about. This is not your traditional sports book. This is a fantasy-based skill game, and honestly, it's really fun. It's really engaging. It's worth giving it a shot. So if you're going to sign up, head over to Underdog. You can click the link in the description below. Use code CIRCLES. If you do use code CIRCLES, you'll get $1,000 in bonus cash plus one free pick to get you started. That's code CIRCLES. They will match your deposit of $1,000 in bonus cash and get you a free pick to get you started as well. It's worth trying it out just for the experience, something different, something fun. Head over to Underdog. All right, our third topic today, positive or neutral CLV. So Kirk, per usual, is stirring shit up on Twitter. This one was actually made things uncomfortable for me this week, and I'll speak to why. So Cleve TA, if you're not familiar, has his website, cleveanalytics.com. He is part of our team at the Hammer over on Forward Progress. Does the Monday shows. We utilize him to do a lot of recaps from Sunday, going through box scores, how the basically games played out, stuff of that, of that nature. I would call TA a friend. I talk to him pretty much every day throughout football season. He was pretty integral in getting the Hammer off the ground as well because of his background in finance, helped us a lot in the early going. So I just want to provide that context because it's important whenever we talk about these types of situations. Diggs used to be a hated enemy of mine, and now we are on speaking terms. I would say he took a snapshot of TA's NFL track record for this year, which outlines his season, 129 and 119, 52% minus 9.6 units, which also says 75% of side/totals with positive or neutral closing line value. And Diggs says 75% of side/totals with what? Obviously, positive or neutral closing line value, not a term you would generally see in the sports betting space. Now we have some hammer on hammer crime. Kirk comes out here. He says, starting a tout service, only betting at post, then going to promote it saying 100% of bets positive or neutral CLV. He then also became the meme king over the course of the week as well. He threw TA onto the Spider-Man meme with Blaze, Sean Perry, Fezzik, Bender, Rass, Analytics Capper. Okay, so let's go into it here. Positive or neutral CLV, obviously you had a very negative reaction to that.
Yeah, okay, so a couple points here. One, I don't know Clev at all. I actually don't think we've ever spoke to each other, so nothing personally wrong with him. 2, I got in a little trouble for these tweets. First time ever I've gotten in trouble for tweets.
Sorry,
but that's how
in trouble.
Like maybe told, lay easy.
Who told you that? Moretto?
Really? You didn't know that?
Well, no, it's not surprising to me.
He didn't say delete it or anything.
Yeah.
He said, I totally get it.
He's just letting
but
reminders.
you're part of the team now. But
listen,
that is how.
Moretto under the bus.
That
Come
is
on,
how.
man.
No, I'm
I
kind of glad he did it.
I kind of thought that was from you.
Well, me and Moretto talked.
Moretto's a company guy. He's just letting you know. Listen,
Sorry, Moretto. I did not mean
Alex
to
Moretto's
throw
my
you.
right-hand man.
I did not
actually
mean to throw
don't-
you under the bus here.
I mean, like, from the perspective that Moretto plays, I don't know that is like.
Yeah, he's our
that's-
director of content.
yeah,
He's
that's
trying to
what I
keep
mean.
harmony.
No, I'm not blaming Moretto for that. I'm just saying we don't need to.
I actually
out
think
that.
that's his job if people are fighting in the company, just to be like, hey guys, I know you're going at it, but just a reminder.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, I don't
agree. His performance review is going to be higher, so you did him a favor.
I
here.
thought it was totally reasonable what Moretto said to me.
Yeah, it's
but
also
I will-
reasonable for you to be like,
I
fuck
will
off.
say my response, and Moretto can confirm this. I said, I know he's part of the team, but if I don't say anything, then it's disingenuous. So that's how committed to the bit I am.
Well, which is exactly why we're talking about this on the show, because I messaged TA on the side as well, and I said, listen, this is a topic. It has to be discussed, and I will discuss it, or else it's a cop. If we do this show and we don't talk about stuff that our creators do as well, like we threw Kanish. Kanish had the tweet with, can't remember the other guy's name.
Yeah, with
Steph-
that
Dakuchi.
like, white
Dakuchi,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, we covered that, so it's fair game, and we got to do that, right? We have to. I will say, I would never put. I think part of how I want to run this company is I don't want to put restrictions on what people do. It would be nice if things were harmonious amongst all of our content creators, but it's not always going to be that way, and such is life. I don't ever want to go to somebody and be like, you can't tweet this, don't do that. I would have preferred if you didn't. However, that's completely on you.
Okay, but back to the tweet. Let's go to the original here, the Diggs tweet. So I actually saw this tweet and originally thought, what's Diggs talking about? This is actually a pretty good way to track, because in my head, neutral closing line value meant he bet -3, 1.9 or -110. It closed -3, -120, and you call that neutral closing line value. Not something I'd ever really heard before,
Yeah.
but like maybe something between 0.5 to -0.5
Right.
EV, neutral closing line value. And I was waiting for Clev to tweet and clarify, but the longer
No, TA
it went,
will never respond to Diggs. I
but the
don't think he
longer it
wants-
went,
yeah.
it was clear that neutral closing line value means you bet -3, -110,
and it closes that number.
that is just a bad bet. Everyone can get neutral closing line value. It's about the easiest thing in the entire world. And 75% of sides and totals with positive or neutral closing line value, if maybe 60% are positive and 15% are neutral, maybe it's good, but that's very plausible that that's bad, and it kind of explains negative 9.6 units. So that's why I tweeted that I'm going to start a tout service where I'm just getting 100% positive or neutral CLV.
So to me, there's context that matters here. That's not part of that. Now, where I often disagree with guys like Diggs and the Seville guys and whatever is on like the right to sell, right? And all touts are bad type of situation. I never fundamentally agreed with that. Now,
I don't think that.
right. I will say this about TA. And of course, I'm saying this through the lens of him being a friend. And this is undoubtedly a biased take, because this is just life, right? Your friend does something bad that you grew up with for 20 years. You're like, fuck, you shouldn't have done that, but I'm going to support you through this type of situation. And TA is a finance guy, all right? He works in finance. He's never claimed to be a pro, not even a semi-pro. He knows football really well, but he has a finance background. And this is like how like a loss ratio would be depicted in the finance world, right? Where you report back to your investors and you're like, here's the percentage of your portfolio that we didn't get like a good return on. It is a very like finance type of thing. It obviously has no place in sports betting. It's not the way that I would track CLV, but he also, like, he posts a weekly recap every week. He tracks on Betstamp, which anyone can go to his Betstamp profile, and he locks in every single play there and has been doing that ever since we started in the Hammer. He's not hiding it. Of all the tout, like when you look at the definition of a tout is someone who's like aggressively promoting sales for something. He never does that, period. So I am willing to cut him a little bit more slack on that type of situation. Now, I'll be very honest with you. Would I bet TA every play that TA puts out? Absolutely not. And there's many reasons for that. For one, I understand the difficulty of beating the NFL, especially when you work a full-time job and you're going to now come home and you're going to handicap the game after work and you're going to process information that the market has already been processing for 5 or 6 hours. It's going to be really hard to win that way. But I do subscribe to his service as a friend because I read every single write-up every single week, and I do find value in that. And he's mostly promoting that. So that's kind of my defense of the situation. Is it an absolutely incoherent term to use for a sports bettor? Yes. And can you get on him for selling picks and losing? Yes. That's well within your right to do so. I give him a little bit more leeway because at least he's honest and transparent, and most of the stuff he's adding to the site nowadays are tools that other people can use for betting purposes.
Yeah, I think everything you said there is fine, but I would just add on that if you sell picks and you go a full season losing,
yeah,
you deserve to get shit on a bet.
Yeah,
so to me, totally fair game.
It's with I've had private conversations with TA, which I'll air publicly. I don't think he'd be upset about this, and I mean I gotta be navigate this, but like he does not want to give picks. He does not want to give. There is an appetite for. There's people asking him to give picks on games. I bet you, going forwards, you might see him. He's very cognizant of the fact that it was a losing year. I don't think he's going to run and hide from that. I think likely it's going to turn into a content site at some point where it's like, here's my breakdown of the game. Here's what I think you should know about the game. And people will be subscribed. Like the picks thing, I think was almost the pressure of this is where the industry is headed. And he's doing that. But that's my perspective. I like TA. I would go to bat for him on football knowledge. Is he the best bettor in the world? Definitely not. And that type of nomenclature, positive or neutral CLV, would go like I would never even think to describe something like that. But I do think that this is, I'll call it blown out of proportion. Jeff,
Okay.
You're very quiet there.
I don't really. I mean, I can see the term. I was a little confused by it. The finance thing makes sense. I would just say, like, I speak with them, become friends with them. Like, you talk ball with them. Like, I don't know. I enjoy hearing everything.
Every day, yeah.
I enjoy like hearing his insights on the league, on games, on players, on like just league minutia, unrelated to betting, on golf. So I don't know. I don't really have. An opinion, but Kirk's not wrong. Like the internet rules say, like you sell picks,
Yeah.
you're under 500. Like people, like you're out there, you've exposed yourself.
Yep.
People are going to take the shots. Clearly, he's doing it in like a far respectable way than lots of other people, and that's to be commended, I guess, because there's lots of people who absolutely don't partake in any of that.
Yeah.
Like TA could, like be Warren Sharp and post like fake things and like have this, that, and no tracking. And they're like, but I don't know. Now I'm just rambling.
Yeah.
It's
a challenging conversation to have for me. And yeah, like I will readily admit it's tough to separate like friendship from other stuff. And the reality is if it was someone I didn't like that did that, I would probably have had Kirk's reaction. So I completely get it. It's warranted.
But also, like, I don't know. Like, you don't want it to be fake or manufactured, but, like, two people under the same umbrella, like, if they want to go at it, I think that's always a good thing. I know why Moretto wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because, like, his POV and what he is looking out for is the interest. Sometimes not. But you tell, like, you put on, like, not to make a comparison, but, like, some of the best, Barstool content. It's just when like two people who work under the same place are now like
Rico Nadeau back in the
sure,
day.
just like just any time that happens, it's almost like if I'm Rob.
So we should
like,
embrace
this is
it.
Great.
Good to
Well, we
know.
kind
I've
of
got
do.
the green light.
But you don't force it. You're not forcing it. You're not like creating
Well,
it. You're not pouring gas on. Oh, Kanish would. If like two people were actually going at it on the internet, Kanish would be like, two of Pizzolas guys going at it. Everybody tune in. Can't wait.
Kanish is the tough one to deal with because I know Moreto's had conversations with him before about like, hey, maybe you don't want to go after this, and he just doesn't care. Whichever, it's his prerogative. I get what you're saying. Anyways, I get it. I mean, listen, this is entirely hypocritical. If it was like JJ Gruden that tweeted that, not that I'm comparing TA to Gruden, they're not even in the same league, but if it was like that guy, I would be quote tweeting that and being like, what the fuck is this? Whatever. So I get it. But I think TA positions himself more as like ball knower than picks expert. I've never seen that from him. Honestly.
I didn't even honestly. I'm trying to even remember. Not that I like have notifications on. I don't even know when he promotes.
He doesn't.
This shit.
He doesn't.
Yeah, but
I'm not.
he still
Now I
sells
feel
them.
like
He still
we're.
sells them.
Yeah,
He still
still
sells
No,
them.
he still sells them.
He still sells
Still
them.
sells them.
And
Yeah,
you
I
have
feel
to be
like
open to the
no. I'm not
criticism.
trying to take away from.
I get you
Kurt's-
guys are
from
friends
Kurt's
with him.
points.
Yes.
I get you
No,
guys are friends with
I'm
him.
actually like.
But
I mean,
I've
Internet
never spoken
friends?
with him.
Yeah.
I've
yeah, no, you got.
personal connection.
I'm not
to him,
invalidating your
but
opinion. It is
exactly,
fair.
and it's what you said.
Yeah.
If you would have tweeted the same thing as
Yeah.
me, maybe not as good of a meme because Kurt
I
memes,
think this is a great
but-
meme, even if I think like he probably isn't of the ilk of the others. I think this is good meme work. Like in
appreciate
general,
that.
what's
I
happening
appreciate
here.
that.
He's become the meme. He walked in this morning. He's like, I was trying to come up with this meme today. I couldn't get it.
No,
Like,
literally,
well,
we were watching football yesterday. I was scrolling through every meme template to try getting one, and I couldn't get there.
My only thing, my word for if you want to enter the meme world here, an experienced meme creator would not get caught with a watermark on their memes. So
it's because it's a free, though. It's a free.
If you think I know how to
Gotta
do
be-
this shit,
gotta
I'm
be-
taking
gotta
hours
be
to try
cognizant
figuring
of
this
that
shit
going
out.
for- gotta be cognizant of that going
I am
forward. That's my
useless with
only-
the art. The actual
only thing
figuring
I'll
it
give
out,
you.
I'm like asking ChatGPT how to figure it out. I've got no idea, but I've got the imagination for it.
I was big into
sure.
the meme world for a while. My favorite one is the car driving and veering hard right. There's different signage. And it's like, tailing Kanish's picks, and then like you'd find someone that's worse than him and put that on the exit side. It's like tailing JJ Gruden's picks, and the car veers right.
I saw that in
I'm
my
a big
searches
fan
yesterday.
of those ones.
But it didn't fit what I wanted to make.
Yeah.
I'll search again today.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of your meme game. Big fan of your meme game. All right.
That's some bangers today, Rob.
The content writes itself.
By the way, Rob called this a light week where we didn't have much.
Well, no.
And look at what we got already.
So my weekly process is I keep up with what's going on Twitter on a weekly, and I bookmark stuff as I see it so I can review it later in the week. And usually out of those bookmarks, I'll get like 20 to 25 possible topics. This week I got less. I was very reliant on the hashtags. Thank you. Hashtag circle back one more time. And then I was like, holy shit, like how did I miss this stuff? And we really went in. And there was a lot of hashtag circle back in regards to some Taylor Mathis stuff this week. It's been a long time. I don't know, like a month maybe since we've had a Taylor Mathis
And that's because
discussion.
we missed one of the shows.
It's true. It could have been much worse. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this world that I have not been privy to for a while
I
now.
love this ecosystem.
It's really different from, and this is not like a gambling discussion. This is a gambling Twitter discussion. But Jeff Nadeau has been very much calling out Taylor for a while now. And he said, come on a Spaces with me and we'll hash it out. And she responded and she said that she would. So he set up a Taylor Mathis, I will wait for 20 minutes space, in which he waited for 20 minutes and she did not show up. She responded, I'm not doing this without a mod, LOL. And it should be a joint Spaces, not one that only Nadeau starts.
Like, sure, I get like she wants a mod because like she doesn't someone to maybe be fair and balanced with the people brought in to speak. Little protection.
I honestly think it's very fair.
Yeah.
request.
Yeah,
I just think in the early go, like, it's,
you go to the clubs, the girls. There's always some protection,
sure, 100%,
right?
Yeah,
So
as a
yeah, it
handler or something like
doesn't
that.
bo-
It's
yeah,
just
I
like-
don't think that's like if Nadeau really wants to speak to her and hash it out. That's a fair request.
Well, Nadeau's been going on since the crypto stuff, right? Like his whole thing was like this is a rug pull, and since then he's been all over that situation.
Well, Nadeau likes. I mean, he
likes the.
He's old school.
Yeah,
and he liked it old school, so he likes to call out a lot of the new school.
Me and Nadeau used to
enjoy
have
it.
some beefs on Twitter back in the day. If Spaces existed, I bet you we would have found ourselves on Spaces at the time.
I could load up an insane 6-year-old DM battle of me and Nadeau. Insane. Insane. I would want to I don't want to say it because I maybe put more work to beep it. But insane. And now I like the guy.
Yep.
I mean I don't know him actually, but like you, I find him endearing, and
yeah.
I mean I'll just put this out there. You see, credit to anybody who's able to do that good for themselves, improve themselves physically as much as he did.
He lost 150 pounds.
That's
lost a lot.
Full the commitment, the discipline, the willpower, the ability to just on a change.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle, 10 out of 10.
Agreed.
Full marks to Jeff.
I will
for
say
that.
maybe he could do a bit better with his haircut.
Sure, that's its own thing.
You work
You work 200.
But I love
hard
the
to lose
gra-
200
that's his
pounds.
thing,
But
though.
I
love
like
his
it.
haircut.
But now
I'm
as
glad to talk. I'm losing
as
my
an
hair.
internet fan of his, I like it. It's part of the
Fair.
Nadeau ambiance.
Sure, I agree.
And when he shows off a fresh do, I get that gets
he
me.
lo-
In the
he
same
looks
way
like-
George shows off when he lets you know fresh gel, fresh do.
Yeah.
And then whatever, to each their own. But when you think something is weird and someone else is bragging about it, it makes it that much more fucking awesome.
It looks like he perpetually wears a hockey helmet and then has just taken it off.
Yeah, I don't know. The kids these days, I got younger nephews that kind of rock, not that, but similar. And he's closer to
maybe
our
it's
age.
cool.
He's
Maybe
closer
it's
to
cool.
our age.
Yeah.
But he's still out on the crawl on Friday nights with the Stellas looking for action. So you got to keep it tight and fresh.
100%. As part of this, someone tagged SB Influencer, saying that he should be the mod for this. He said, I think by mod, Taylor means one of her simps. Unfortunately, I don't fit the criteria. Taylor says, I don't care as long as you're neutral. You hate me too. I don't know who you are. He says, I don't hate you. I just think you're a pretty woman who uses their body to bring zero value to the industry.
Did she respond to that?
I don't know that she did,
double
but I
check.
wasn't looking because it got
Personal or
was,
ugly?
First it was Nadeau, then SB Influencer. SB Influencer, in fairness, is not just picking on Taylor. He's picking on what he considers to be sportsbook influencers in the space. And then we had...
She did reply to it. She said, you should actually listen to my spaces. I do study and know the industry. I also feel like you just assume things from walking bets. I've been in the industry longer than actually.
Sorry
now that I
for
say
people
that, I
assuming
think I have it up here,
things.
to be honest.
Sorry for assuming things
sorry.
because of walking.
Yeah,
Bets.
sorry. It's
There we
already
go.
up.
Sorry,
I'm an idiot. I
sorry,
left it up
Jacob.
here.
No, I'm an idiot for doubting that you wouldn't have it up there. That's my fault.
Well, I'm an
not
idiot
yours.
for forgetting I put it in.
He responded, I listened to the spaces last night for 10 minutes, and you shared multiple plays you liked with no lines mentioned. I definitely do not watch walking bets. Definitely two people that are not going to get along over time. I mean,
SB Influencer is a good account, by the way.
I would say so, but he went after me for the masterclass stuff, so I soured on him. I would agree,
He's
though.
the best out of these types of accounts. What was that other one? Gambling Twitter drama.
That-
He sucked. SB Influencer is better.
I gotta honestly, I owe gambling. Whoever created that original gambling Twitter drama account, they had such a brilliant idea, but did it in such a piss poor way that this is where circle back.
Yeah.
I'm like, this could be huge if you actually had people who know what they're talking about and know the industry,
he just didn't
rather
know
than this
anything.
this
Yeah.
one goof from this account. And so thank you to whoever ran that account. What I'm really interested in, though, from the outside looking in, is we actually have new people getting involved in these types of beefs now. Taylor posts a picture, turtleneck season, picture of her in a turtleneck. Someone named Nicole out of nowhere, never heard of this girl before, says, bro, horrendous Photoshop job. The internet sleuths then come in, and there are sites out there where you can upload an image and it'll tell you if it's been photoshopped or doctored and wherever it was. And this image was photoshopped.
So I didn't know this, but again, Rob, we're kind of boomer. They're younger guys that work here that like know these things, that full on Instagram era, that you could put a photo in and they tell you where it's been doctored. This is all news to me. It makes sense. When you asked me about this, I was like, I had seen like on the internet before, just kind of being perpetually online, like, pretty influencer models, whatever, would get into like cat fights about photoshopping.
Yeah.
But I'd never be like in the sports betting space.
Yeah.
Like bros like us, like we're just you can't save us with the Photoshop.
No,
there's nothing that can be saved.
Can't add enough hair to me in a Photoshop.
Yeah, and I
It's
guess
not gonna-
in sports betting, like if you're going to Photoshop, it's more like people lying about tickets or bets.
Yeah.
We're not sort of used to like the Photoshop for filters and appearances, because we can't be saved by that. So
I've never once thought about my appearance when I've posted a picture online. Not once. I posted one where I was still under the influence of drugs when I left the dentist to get my wisdom teeth removed, and I looked very confused, and it didn't even bother me. Never once thought about it.
But I do, like it's not an uncommon thing for females in other industries on the internet to call each other out for Photoshop.
Well, it's come into gambling Twitter now, and there's like some serious vitriol with this girl Nicole that came out of, and I want to get your opinion on whether or not you view it as petty or you view it as like, whatever you view it as. So lots of people are going in and be like, why are you calling out Taylor? And, she's got her army defending, calling her out for setting unrealistic standards for women because she's trying to hide her pregnancy isn't being hateful. It's holding someone accountable. Taylor says this is absurd behavior. She says, so is you lying about your OnlyFans, that you started the walking bets, that you know anything about sports, photoshopping your pics, you make an edited and cut crypto apology video, and you buy your followers, and you harass ESPN/Barstool people for a job. You're not a good person. I saw this.
I mean, she didn't even, she didn't even talk about.
What, do you think there's something missing in there, Jeff?
Yeah, I do.
Something that you think should have been added?
Yeah, she didn't talk about lying about her family being extorted.
Yep.
And
That's kind of like within
some
the crypto
like
thing, though.
self-harm situation. The crypto apology video has like 20 tentacles.
I know. It really does.
But I don't know. Like, good. If girls, I could see why like other females are offended.
I can as well.
By it. Like, it comes off different than when like sports betting guy is like, who's to say she can't even name 6 players on the Commanders? Who does she have a right to make a bet? Right? Like, that comes off like different than when it's like girls being like, fuck you and your walking bets.
I get it. I mean, we were tagged in this, and my first reaction was like, ooh. Like, the, like the oof size GIF where the oof meter is to the max. That's what
the
my
edge meter, your edge
not
meter,
the edge meter, the oof meter. Who's the coach? It was the old Portuguese soccer coach on the oof meter. I can't remember his name.
Is it Mourinho?
No, not Mourinho.
I know the GIF.
No. Anyways, somebody's gonna figure it out in the comments down below. But
That's a heavy message.
it's like she said the quiet part out loud.
Oh, is it Scolari?
Scolari. I
She
think
said the quiet part out loud, but I don't know. The quiet part gets said
I
out
never
loud
realized-
a bit, I think.
Never
I don't
realized
know.
that was Scolari, Rob.
This lady seems
Unhinged?
petty and jealous to me. Like, I don't know. I don't really think. The thing that frustrates me about Taylor a little bit, I care very little about her, if I'm being honest.
That she wants you to respect her
Well,
information.
hang on.
She wants-
Whoa. You said you care very little about it, but she's on the show at least once a month.
Yeah, that's
It's like
true.
leaving Twitter, then coming back
She
to Twitter
wants
and say
she
you're
wants her
leaving
cake.
Twitter.
She wants to have her cake and eat it too. She wants you to respect her betting, but she doesn't post odds. She obviously does things that are very clickbaity, but like unrealistic standards for women. Like,
Yeah, that's unfair.
Shut up. Like,
That's
what are
heavy.
we talking about? I don't think Taylor Mathis is setting the unreal. There are girls at home crying who are 14. Oh, I can't look
Well,
like this
she's-
Taylor Mathis. Like, I don't think that's true. There are
That-
Or like girls, I want to be like Taylor when I grow up,
like
daddy.
she's a
And I'm
sports
not-
betting influencer. She's not Khloe
Yeah.
Kardashian.
I don't
Like,
view that as a fair criticism, anyways. And if she is
Yeah.
attractive and people find her attractive
That's
and she
fine.
wants to
That
use her
works.
body to her benefit, she is totally entitled to do that.
Using your sexuality
Yeah.
to like get ahead
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I don't believe there's anything wrong with that at all. But like Kirk said, it's a lot of like cake, eat it too. Respect me for using my sexuality. Respect me for my like bets and my knowledge. When you don't, you're just like a hater or an asshole. And then it's like, can you imagine, like Rob, if someone came at you on the internet and I thought they were being like wrong and unfair or something, or misrepresenting something that I had more information on, like, sure, I'd probably like chirp in there, you're my friend.
Right.
The amount of fucking people that like will run to this woman's defense.
I know.
Because she will say Diamondbacks tonight outside in a tank top is like, that is what I marvel at. Because if that's what you want, like, there's way better websites for that. Like, if that's what you're using the internet for, like, I can show you, like, you don't know how to use the internet.
I do admit that I find that rather unusual. I don't know what people think that they're gonna get out of. Maybe they're honestly
a date,
or maybe. I mean, are they just
It's
kind-hearted
like
people? I don't know.
Age-old internet question. It's like, what do you get out of doing this?
People are
Defending
weird.
it.
I get her. She gets to grow herself. She's done quite well for herself.
sure.
She's made some hiccups, which have cost her, some opportunities. But listen, like, when in doubt, fucking start walking and everything will be okay.
I think when you get to the level that she's at now, and you're embroiled in so many,
She's got
I'll call them controversies, right? Like the
nothing burgers, though, kind of, too.
Sure.
Like, you're a pretty girl, some other girl's calling you out for photoshopping. You've got to count that as a nothing burger.
and you just got to ignore and move on.
Yeah,
like
that's what
it.
I was going to say. She should just stop replying to anyone. That should be
Yeah.
a Taylor Mathis
It seems
rule.
like a real big
No
problem,
replies.
but like at even the whole crypto thing, right? The Taylor coin or whatever. She just went offline for 3 days and then came back afterwards. Most of it would have blown over. Her getting involved, posting a video, this and that. Either you have to address it with 100% sincerity.
Yeah, address it like, buddy, do you know how quickly anyone who's like turned on you or said something mean about you would like flip if you just like sincerely and like showed even a modicum of proof that like someone actually like got to you and extorted you and like threatened some personal information of you or your family? Do you know how quickly like even the biggest hard asses on the internet like would be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
sorry,
yeah.
that should happen to nobody. But you, like you said, she plays it. She always wants both sides.
Well, if we think
so
back,
it's
if we think back
interesting.
to the first topic of conversation on this show about Taylor Mathis, I believe was in regards to the Taylor coin, right? Like I'm almost
I think
certain.
there was one
no,
before.
I'm
No
sure there
way.
was one before.
We
No?
had one before where it was just like a general
Walking, but her and
assessment of
Lucy,
Walking
come on,
Dead.
there was something. Yeah,
okay,
come
so
on,
second
yeah.
Taylor coin, and I sat here.
Remember, there was a debate. People were like the IP of walking bets.
Yeah,
Had to have been when people were like,
this
I
is-
invented
this is
walking
even-
bets.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
in
yeah.
that tweet that you started walking bets. She's saying that that's a lie.
yeah. Well, this is
That's also like, who cares? Like,
But,
what do
but
we
this is what I'm getting. But my whole point is that like I sat here. I don't want to say I defended
inventing walking
I-
bets is like inventing putting French fries in your hamburger.
Sure,
Like,
I agree with you.
Like, come on.
Yeah, you can't trademark it. It's gonna have like whatever. Move on with life. But my whole thing is like I sat here and I was like, I don't think Taylor was complicit in any sort of crypto scam. I think that she just didn't know any better. But there's so many things that have happened since then where I'm like, everything feels phony for me right now.
Everything.
Everything. It just there feels like no authentic and I could be wrong.
And we're here- I'm
Again,
here
it's
for-
just the way I feel about it. But everything feels phony.
And you know how hard, like, I'm not, like, it all feels phony. And a damsel in distress, I'd fall for it, but nothing feels real about
Like there's
any
always
part
a
of it.
controversy. How does this happen?
I think she just doesn't like.
She
when
leans
people are
into,
mean
not
to her,
she
and
unintentionally leans
replies.
into it.
Yeah,
she replies too much.
I think I tweeted this about the crypto thing. I think I said I stand with Taylor. I still stand with Taylor. These girls go to the next tweet because it makes it look even worse.
We're talking about when they're mocking their walking.
Yeah,
bets.
like these are mean girls. I can't believe Sarah Civic. Like, doesn't she like cover the NHL? Like, what is she doing tweeting this? This is just
I don't.
I actually don't. I think
Once again, I stand with Taylor.
this is okay. Okay. You could like say, why are they doing this? Why are they not? I
just
would
mean
agree.
girl
This
behavior.
is, but this is like an ode to Taylor. This would be like getting SNL. Like, it's like, oh shit, I did something stupid. I'm that big that it's like being mocked. So this is like imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah.
This actually shows her scale in some ways.
Agreed.
It's not just simp guys in the comments defending.
Correct.
It's like other women bashing, but in the end, it's like, I don't know, she's using her sexuality. She's getting ahead. I just wish it wasn't like the respect my fucking information.
Yeah.
That is where like and I get it. Maybe that's part of the bit that I am like a marking out. Like that's my like trigger point. But it's when like respect. I don't even care. No lines. That is so bad. That's its own thing. But like the respect my information.
It's like I actually handicap these games.
I'm doing research. Yeah. That's where I can't. But I don't mean to like get long-winded here. I don't mean to open up Pandora's box. I had no idea. There's a pregnancy allegation that went right over my head.
I don't know the details, so I don't even want to speculate and cover it.
Well, this
but there
is
was
important capping. I need to know this for capping purposes.
Okay, well, I found the screenshot. Listen, maybe she was lying in the tweet. However, according to Taylor Mathis, via her own Twitter account, through a now deleted post, somebody asked, Taylor Mathis is pregnant, ? She says, have been for a long time. I'm tired. Then somebody said, congrats on the pregnancy, and she said, thank you.
And then she deleted the tweet confirming a pregnancy?
Correct.
Which obviously lots of people have seen.
That's a red flag.
Jacob has seen it.
But that's a red flag.
You don't think that's real?
Why like so is she's not pregnant?
I don't even know.
Probably pregnant,
she's
but
probably
just, like,
pregnant, doesn't want people to know
about
it.
That the claim is
because that is ammo.
Their claim is that this is Photoshop.
Her
waist
okay,
is
no, that's
to
okay.
hide her pregnancy. That's
sure, if you're uncomfortable. Also, like to your point where I thought the tweet was a little mean. If someone is pregnant and they're not like feeling good about, I'm not saying like, and you're not feeling the best about yourself at the moment because there's changes happening, and you want to like use a filter or change something.
Agreed.
I don't think that's like damaging to women.
Agreed.
I'm the last person that can make that claim because I'm not.
I don't know what the big deal is in the first place about Photoshop. Like, I would never do that personally, but like if someone did Photoshop the image of themselves, I really don't.
If your shtick is your appearance, then maybe that's where the value is. That's what you got to protect. People aren't following anyone here for their good looks, so I don't give a shit.
Most definitely not. Got rocking a cold sore, haven't shaved in like 3 weeks, receding hairline. People are not following me for the good looks. I don't have.
So,
although you might remember Tracy Purden back in the day, Jeff.
Tracy, oh, I do. Yeah, Rob we worked at the radio station together, and there was Rob had an admirer, so it is true. Rob's good looks did come across the TV.
I did have hair back in the day. Used to stay clean shaven.
I would say, I know it's like, I guess, none of our business, but I'm just going to put this out there. If we could get confirmation on the pregnancy, I might
TMZ now.
I might ride on a couple parlays or plays.
Sorry. You were more likely to tail her plays.
Stop this.
Yeah, like if the milk pickers actually have official milk, I feel like this is like baby swag, death swag. I think maybe like we can ride some plays. I'd line shop for the best numbers.
You got to tweet the slips.
Well,
if you're tailing her, you got to prove it.
With actual odds, potentially, when you tail.
Real odds.
So yeah, we'll see. But I'm just saying,
do you buy into like
no?
Okay.
Well, what?
Not as but Brett Favre's dad passes away and he plays the next game. Like
it was one of like my biggest bets in college. Like, what a night.
Yeah. I remember
what a night.
Yeah.
I know, like, that's a bad word. You don't want to, like, lock, free, all that stuff. It might be the most, like, square thing we've ever been a part of. I wasn't, like, in a dorm. But, like, just almost, like, imagine that, like, setting. Like, there wasn't everybody, like, hammered. I don't even know what the prop situation was back then. They didn't exist.
Yeah,
but, like, could you imagine what would be going on?
Brett Favre passing yards over, 4+ touchdowns.
I know it sounds horrible. I'm in a bit of baby swag. I think you have a bit of an afterglow. You can get me to believe in that.
Okay.
And death swag. But there's parameters to death swag.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be something so tragic that it, like, fucks you up.
Yeah.
You know, someone, like, suddenly, or someone, like, totally not of an appropriate age to be passing. Like, that's the sort of shit that'll, like, fuck you up.
You've really thought this through, Jeff.
No, but if it's, like, just, like, time... And like someone like it's let's go. I don't play props, so it's not like really my thing.
Motivating factors that aren't sad news. Like,
feel like
if you just have a kid.
No, I don't.
I feel like these are intrusive thoughts that you typically.
Yeah, but I don't
keep
actually
in.
like bet. I don't actually bet this like stuff.
Right.
But I do believe in like
the parameters are interesting.
It's extra motivation for the player.
Yeah, it has to be.
That factors into a handicap, and sometimes it's not priced in effectively.
Yeah,
Sure.
Hey, I could buy it.
I don't want to like detail the parameters
Can't
because that
quantify
could
everything.
come up like mean spirited.
You don't
want
to give out an edge.
I just mean like.
No, you be
If
careful
someone-
what you say because the sharps will go after you if you are giving out a real angle here.
You know, someone's, if like that mentor or that like important influencer in that person's life had, came at the appropriate time, that's a lot different than something like really sudden or totally like jarring the home front.
What about the golfer that just had a kid?
Baby swag?
Yeah, you're into that. You're backing that golfer for a little bit.
Not really. Like, it depends. If I already like the golfer, then maybe it's a reason to go. My logic would be you've got this like 8-foot pressure putt.
Right.
You're not even like, you have like none of you guys are fathers, but like the immediate portion of being a father, there's like a bit of an afterglow.
Okay.
Like you feel like you are walking.
Baby bump.
Let's add it to the models.
Yeah.
You
gonna
feel
have to
like,
put it in price that
You feel
now.
like you're walking on a cloud.
Yeah.
10-foot putt. Normally it'd be like, now it's just like, I don't make, miss, whatever.
No nerves.
There's
All
no
right.
nerves.
Yeah, that's all.
But I like that
I don't
angle.
actually like bet this stuff. It'd be like, I'm
you
already
do-
on
you
this
do,
guy.
though.
Found out he had a. No,
You might add a few more dollars. You
I'm
know,
not
use your bet boost
I
on
don't
one of
really
those.
even bet props to be like, oh, that guy's like grandma passed tonight to load up.
Yeah.
Like it's not even my thing, but I'm a believer in death swag and baby swag. I wish I was liking that conversation. I don't know why we got distracted, other than to say, confirmation will ride.
All right.
It's producer Jacob the Giant here in front of the main cameras for a change to tell you about the brand new Instagram and TikTok pages for Circles Off. We are very excited to be launching this channel's very own specialized platforms where we're still going to be bringing you the best clips and highlights from the shows we already do, like Circle Back and the Circles Off flagship podcast, where you can relive the best moment from the episodes that you've seen, or perhaps catch up on some of the stuff that you may have missed. But on top of this, we're even more excited to tell you that we have exclusive content coming to these platforms in 2025 that you will not be getting anywhere else. So make sure you're following at CirclesOffHQ on TikTok and on Instagram by simply searching at CirclesOffHQ on these platforms, or by going to the links in the description of this video. But now let's get back to the show.
Our weekly installment of Steve Fezzik comes this week with his battle against Starbucks as a franchise. Very much a supporter of Dunkin'. Me and Kirk are both drinking Starbucks here today as well.
Fez.
I mean, it's in the building.
in the building.
And I like the coffee. I do like
I get a Starbucks every day.
Do you really?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I drink. I don't even want to
It's
tell
got to
you.
add up. It's a lot of money, no?
Jacob, if
I get a black coffee. It's
Don't think
$3.
about it.
Okay.
yeah. Well, $3. You spend over $1,000 on coffee every year.
Put that into
Hopefully I win a
player
couple
props,
NBA
man.
bets.
My number is much more than that. It's real sad when I think about it. It's an obsession. Just like Fez's obsession with Starbucks. So he's going out. Can someone please forward to the CEO of Starbucks and explain that his business had no chance of succeeding selling pastries that are subpar to Dunkin' Donuts at gouging prices at Caesars? If I had to pay this for that product, I would make an oath never ever to go back to a Starbucks. $5.75 for a glazed donut, $11.55 for a brown sugar oat milk espresso.
I love Fezzik. I know he can get like can
cannot
find annoying,
stand
can
Fezzik.
stand, but like that this just
And I'm in the
comes
middle.
and it's so there and it's. Listen, we all have these moments where we think we're in like a Seinfeld episode in some way, like
Yeah.
just these things. But he's forgetting the
Are
fact.
you saying Fez is Costanza? Because he
No,
could be.
But forgetting the fact that Fezzik in some way should have like a Substack
Yeah.
for these sorts of like rants.
I know.
Because he can go on rants. Yeah, he can, you know?
Well, that's what Twitter's for.
But who railing about like an in-hotel, like a Vegas hotel?
Yeah. He's at Caesars.
It's like being in the airport or at the ballpark and complaining. Like you are in...
I was going to say the same thing.
You know, it's not even fair parameters. I don't give a shit about Starbucks or their pastries.
Do you know what Starbucks is worth as a franchise?
Sure.
They are worth $105 billion. Okay, they don't have great pay. I think they're doing okay. Like, they've done the market research.
That is my problem with this tweet. The idiocy to say, can someone please tell me how the CEO of Starbucks and explain that he thinks his business has no chance of succeeding? They are worth over 100.
Succeeding selling pastries. Like, but maybe they don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to get into this.
I will. They of course are successful at selling pastries. They are worth $105 billion.
Mm-hmm.
No one. I mean, this is like a whole other discussion, but now it's got me on a tangent, and I've actually Starbucks is like trending down.
Okay.
Big time.
Yep.
And their business, and a lot of it is like their freaking baristas think they're like union worthy.
Yeah, okay.
These people are ridiculous. Like, how much goes in the entire process of getting that coffee bean to that store?
Yeah.
And all the people involved.
Yep.
You're not the special one.
I know, yeah.
You're not the special one.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now, they have a problem. They make the drinks too hard and difficult and annoying for them to make. That's a whole other thing.
Kind of tough, yeah.
But these people behind the counter, they're not the special one in the chain of getting everything there that they should be put on some fucking pedestal.
Feisty Feinberg.
That's all.
Holy shit.
But,
We're going to get into the barista unions here today on Circle Back. But, okay, there's a theory. There's a working theory about this with Fezzik. And I think it's, well, first of all, GRP.
Yeah, go back.
Like we had to include GRP this week. I'm having a Fezzik Sports breakfast today. Overpriced coffee and cake from Starbucks. Classic GRP.
Commitment.
Doing it for the
commitment to the bet.
Commitment to the bit, because do you know how much it pains George to probably be having this for breakfast?
Sure, this is like a $12 breakfast, and he could have had ham off the boat.
Yeah,
Also,
like
overpriced coffee. He's drinking a
cocoa?
hot chocolate with whipped cream like a 7-year-old.
That's what my kids would drink when we get there.
It's a child's drink, man.
It's a cold day in the Midwest.
How is this breakfast, George? You're having
man.
a cake
Some
and
people
hot
don't
chocolate
drink
with whipped
coffee.
cream.
They want a hot drink. I drink hot chocolate.
That looks
I
like
get
a lemon
whipped cream on my hot
loaf.
chocolate.
You get that for breakfast.
Yes.
Not for breakfast.
I don't know if it was in the last tweet, but because Fez singled out the lemon loaf.
Lemon loaf, yeah.
For having the shitty little line of
Well,
icing.
listen, they're very overpriced. I will eat Starbucks food
Yeah.
like if it's a last resort,
It's
but it's a
overpriced.
convenience thing. It's just purely convenience.
I mean,
I
do
like
they do?
I like the Starbucks breakfast. I think they do a really good, very healthy breakfast as well.
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
I like the
calories,
bacon
macros.
Gouda and egg sandwich.
Not that
Yeah,
one.
that's good too.
Yeah.
You get the egg white spinach wrap or the egg white bites. You can actually get a really good healthy breakfast.
Well, there you go.
Agreed.
We're not
And they're
Starbucks not
good.
paying us anything, so we're not going to continue talking about them. But there is a theory. Came from guy in cornfields, Weston.
I'm following Weston right now.
Yeah, big Weston fan.
Yeah.
So
sorry if
I'm going to
not-
read this whole
Yeah.
tweet. Thank you for the hashtag at the end as well. How bad of an NFL season was it for Fezzik Sports? So bad that now, for the third time in a month, he has went on a rant about the food items at Starbucks. Why, do you ask? Because as a Caesars 7 stars, he gets a $10 daily food comp at Starbucks at Caesars in Las Vegas. For someone who claims he has made millions in football contests, this is just bizarre behavior. This is 100 times worse than GRP wins giving his mom lottery tickets for Christmas, hoping she hits, and he will inherit the winnings. Hashtag circle back.
It's not worse.
It's not, but I like the tweet anyway.
Okay,
it's a great tweet.
it's definitely not worse.
it's
than
not
GRP.
worse.
We got to draw a line somewhere. Getting your mother lottery tickets when you live in her house is just as embarrassing.
No,
Like,
you don't need to live in her house for it to be.
You should be
embarrassing.
getting her those tickets like weekly. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Mom, here are the tickets. Not Christmas.
Agreed. Now, in terms of this rant itself and the theory here, it seems actually extremely plausible. The more and more you
Sorry.
think about it, the idea that
So when
Fezzik-
he's having a bad week, he rants. So people like change the subject. Is that what this theory is?
No, this theory is just simply that, okay, he's accrued a lot of Caesars points, so he's in the top level of Caesars because of his betting status, and he gets a $10 daily food comp. So he goes to Caesars, and he can't get a coffee and some piece
pastry.
of food, a pastry, for less than the $10 food comp because of the price inside the Caesars Casino.
I got
He's having
that
such
part.
a bad football season
Yes,
that
I
he's furious about it.
I misread that in the sense that like the season is going bad, that he'll distract you from his picks by going on food rants. What he's saying is the season is going so bad
that he's using his
he's
comp.
so upset that he can't it not fitting in the comp is like exponentially more tilting because the bets aren't going great.
I actually think that this theory has moved to like a minus 500 favorite. The more and more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I've for the most, say like I know Fez, like I know his, but we chat via text, we've interacted in person before. I know.
I can't wait actually to like have a real life Fez
interaction.
Just
he
like
loves you.
Where Saginaw's?
I'm hit or miss, he said. Saginaw's.
Sure, I just sit there. I let him speak.
You know what's funny? Because I did
let
offer
him
to
talk
pay at
the whole
Saginaw's,
time.
and he said I do have comps here, and he comped the.
I would just want to hear him like go at people, tell me how dumb other people are.
Oh yeah.
Tell me like anything, make fun of you.
Yeah.
I don't care. I can't wait. Next time I'm in Vegas, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get the full experience.
You also said this. I was also a 7-star until Caesars. I think they
took their points.
Away, whatever. That was honestly bullshit. But irrespective, like you can't comment on Starbucks if you're buying it at the Caesars Starbucks.
Yeah,
it is
true.
The most expensive place. The food, you could get a wrap there for like $40. It's the craziest, most expensive place. It has no reflection on exactly. It's like
coffee
airport.
in a casino. You're paying double, triple.
I have
the
a really
price, no matter
dumb
what.
question because I'm not a big Starbucks guy.
Yeah.
But are the prices like the one downstairs? Is we're in a downtown central location? It'd be like cheaper than like one midtown.
Correct.
Not that I give a shit if I want the quarter, but like the prices, clearly airports, hotels, that's not universal fucking pricing.
No, that Starbucks was the most expensive Starbucks I've ever seen by like 3x.
Yeah. That's more expensive than like Canadian dollar price.
So that's a bad, like that's just right there. His rant is like kind of
your
based.
comparison.
Like
to,
I get, we
ballpark
don't like.
food was accurate.
It's like, but like you know how much I can get
You're
this
starting
hot
with
dog
bad
for
data in the first place.
It's like in the stadium, I can pay like $10 for this hot dog.
Bingo.
Outside, I get from the vendor for $3.50. Oh, like of course, man. You're not teaching me anything.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Exactly.
That being said, obviously you can tell I'm a bit of like a fast food guy. I will say, patience like a little low in the sense that this new era of like fucking fast food, everything, but fast food's gotten like crushed by inflation.
Yeah.
Where like my acceptance for the fuck up is a lot lower because I'm like paying a real price now. Like you give me that flat soda, you put something on my burger I didn't want. In the past, I suck it up. Like I'm not paying anything.
Yeah.
But now like you're paying like, to get like a combo, you're paying like an insane price where it's like, no, if you fuck that up, I'm actually really fucking pissed.
Yes.
That is, I guess, my current fast food rant of the day.
Okay.
Fair.
It's not bad. It's better than your barista rant, I'll tell you that.
No. Listen, tipping's fine. I'm not talking about that. But they think they are like, no, let's glad hand like the dude picking the beans. Let's glad hand the dude on the truck driving it in. Like you were the last line of this fucking thing.
Yeah.
You're the final stage.
I hear you.
Let's go to the next tweet.
All right, let's do it. Mortgage advice with...
No.
We had
The
a late
worst
edition.
Reddit tweet.
Oh, I
There's a
forgot
wor-
about
what-
this.
which,
I forgot this was even in the rundown. It was a late edition. Wow. I can't even believe I'm going to read this out loud in full. Guys, please do not have the emotional intelligence of a 10-year-old. If your team loses in the playoffs, it is not a big deal. There are single mothers working 2 jobs, raising special needs children alone, and taking care of sick relatives. Grow up. Stop being a baby. The Steelers losing as an 8.5-point underdog is not even a blip on a normal person's radar screen of bad events.
I assume he just saw like a Jersey Jerry tweet as the Steelers were getting their ass kicked. I love
This
my...
is Fez, by the way.
Yeah, Fez
Yeah.
tweeting this, yeah.
I don't
For
know
audio
what to
listeners.
make of this. Like, I'm obsessed with my team. I love my team. Crushing defeat. Like, the game's like, I'm obviously aware, like, people are getting up at, like, 4 a.m. to do menial labor, like, to do the worst jobs. There's single mothers. There's nurses wiping someone's ass. Like, I'm not quantifying my like woe is me to that.
This guy's
but
been-
in like the 4 hours I'm watching the game, I'm into the game. When the game's over, the game's over.
There's so many things about this. Absolute, like, this is the worst Fezzik tweet ever, in my opinion.
Ever.
By far. So one, he says emotional intelligence of a 10-year-old. This is literally the 10-year-old argument. You could say this to anyone who complains about anything.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there are starving children here. How are you going to complain about that? It's such a stupid, childish argument. And also, we are here right now because people are fans of sports. Fezzik gets to sell his shitty picks and pretend he's a good sports bettor because people are fans of sports. That is why this industry
I
exists.
think he is a good sports
I don't
bettor.
think the picks are shitty.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to pile on.
I don't necessarily think the
Sorry.
Clients will win.
Yeah, we're like, I'm
Sure.
piling
Yeah,
on in
you're
defense.
right.
You're right.
I
You're
get
right.
your
He
point.
wins at his 3 a.m. picks that he posts at Only Vegas Books. I'm sure,
No.
I think he
from
wins.
Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a
can
winner.
get Superbook when he posted at 3 a.m. I'm sure.
But he's winning.
Is he even betting?
Yeah. Anyway, like,
Maybe
okay.
not the full
I don't want to
amount.
distract you.
This
Keep
tweet
going.
sucks.
Yes.
This tweet sucks. It's so stupid, and saying something like this makes my brain
Well,
hurt.
Saying something like this after complaining about Starbucks prices.
That's also true.
That
2
is-
days after you complain about Starbucks
Sorry.
prices.
Great point.
Now,
Great point.
this is
Thank you,
why I put
Jacob.
this
Great
in.
point.
Now, all of a sudden,
I'm gonna
think
re-
about the single mothers.
I'm going to reply. Anytime he tweets, I'm going to reply. But what about the single mother working 2 jobs?
Yeah.
I actually
you're
am
star-
so dumb that I took this tweet to like, no, I'm going to defend like the guy who loves his team, who's enjoying the game, who's going to like send a tweet watching the game, who's but no, this tweet in the follow up to the guy screaming at Caesar Starbucks.
It's just such an insane way to think about life. It's like, okay, every time something bad happens to me, I'm going to take a step back and be like, you know what? I got to grow up. Because
Perspective.
There's wildfires happening. Like, I listen, condolences to everyone who's been affected by LA wildfires. I mean, there's people in the world, like you said, that are starving, that have, like, they don't have the same types of advantages that's how am I going to live my life that way, Jeff? I'm going to get up in the morning, I got a headache, and be like, you know what? It could be worse. I could be dying today.
What about
like
what about the single mother working 2 jobs, raising special needs children alone? What about the homeless mother who's raising 7 special needs children alone? Like, can that single mother complain now? The logic is an endless cycle of ridiculousness that you cannot live your life. And Fezzik complains all the time. It's just ludicrous. It's just such a dumb tweet.
It is an insane tweet.
I guess there's just a better way to say it, like just perspective. Like perspective helps. You think you're having like a shitty day or a shitty moment because it's from a sports game? It's easy to find perspective in the world. You just turn on the TV for a minute.
Sure. When I lose $25K on the Bucks because Baker Mayfield fumbles, I'm not going to stop and be like, well, you know what? It could be worse. I could be having to raise kids that, like, in the moment, that's what matters to you.
Yeah, of course.
People are self-interested.
I had a very scary real life situation occur like just after halftime of a Charger game, and I was somewhere during the second half of that game that I never thought in a million years I would be. And like I don't like to Steve's point, like sure that gives me perspective on like something I love the Chargers, but when something like real is happening, they seemingly didn't matter as much, which feels even weird for me to say, but that's how perspective can get you quickly on a lot of things.
Of course. And obviously people know that sports isn't the most important
who's
thing.
he talking
but
to?
For Fez to yell at people saying what you care about is not a big deal because there's a single mother working 2 jobs. To me, it just comes off as like so.
Yeah,
it's just lunacy.
You know when you're playing like.
Why do you care?
You're playing Madden growing up, and all the players have they have attributes, right? It's like this is their agility rating and endurance and whatever. You know, if there was professional bettor or better attributes, and there was like intelligence, creativity. Self-awareness for Fezzik would be a 0. There wouldn't be a 1 out of 100. It would be a 0. How you go from tweeting exactly what Jacob said about just rants about Starbucks prices over the course of a month to, you know, you can't care about whether your team wins or loses in football is actually insane lack of self-awareness.
Maybe so, but I'm a big fan of the Twitter account. Maybe it's because of like the lack of self-awareness maybe makes the Twitter account more endearing. I don't know.
Possibly.
Endearing is probably the wrong word, but just one that
We all get different reactions to different people and their tweets. I know for you see something like this from Fezzik, Kirk, and you're like, you Stu. I laugh. I'm in the same boat of Jeff, where I find it entertaining, gives us something to talk about. But upon reflection of this one, it is.
I mean, within days of
Steve really should
complaining
have a
about Starbucks,
Substack.
man.
Yeah.
And all of like the tweets or like the text.
Yeah,
that
you know
he
what?
sent-
Just put his thoughts into
a
it's
Substack.
like a memoir.
I would
almost.
subscribe. I'd subscribe.
It'd be better
I know
than-
you wouldn't, but I don't know.
I'm honestly proud.
Doesn't mean I'd have to read it every day.
Yeah.
But I don't like just
All right.
the ramblings of Steve.
Steve.
Again, I'm very fascinated by him. I enjoy him.
Beau L. Wagner, Beau Knows, as he's known on Twitter, tweets out a screenshot of it looks like his wallet on a desk with some sort of papers, and he says, "POV, paying off your mortgage at 44 because you are one of the best in the world wagering on sports." He then follows this up with an actual image of his mortgage statement and says, "If you think I'm all cap on this, proof. Zoom in. Sports betting paid off my house in 2024."
He could win the weirdest character.
Beau?
Yeah,
Yeah, he could.
he could. It's like
You on Mayo's show every year, you have like most insane person, and
Yeah.
it's always you and Cuss that are the finalists.
Yeah.
He would definitely be in the weirdest Twitter personalities. He would be in there every single.
It's
year.
like the scrawny guy from great movie Road Trip, where they're going to like give blood or sperm, and they've got to like disclose recent activity. And he's like, "I had sex with a girl twice." like I don't understand. Like he lets you know when he fucks his wife. He lets you know that he paid off his mortgage. These aren't like. Listen, that's awesome. Anyone who's paying off their mortgage, living in a house
Yep.
that they fully own, that the bank doesn't own on them, congratulations. Good for you. Like, that's something that you should celebrate with your wife. You pop champagne, you have a nice dinner. It's something lovely. But, like, he shares these things as if, like, people with a paid off mortgage are not totally uncommon. Guys who have sex with their wife, these aren't, like, uncommon things. And his desire to, like, I don't know, need to share some things is weird to
well,
me.
it's self promotion.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
the only
saying,
thing
he's
I-
saying he's such a good sports bettor that he can pay
The
off his
only,
mortgage.
the only thing I've got here is like this is just very obviously not.
So his
proof that
lawyer
it was
career?
sports
Yeah,
betting.
what does that mean?
Like how
you
is
were a
this proof
bad
that it's
lawyer?
sports betting.
If he was a lawyer
Yeah.
and a good one, it's good to be a good lawyer, a good one, and make money from sports betting. But if you're a successful lawyer, I don't think you needed the sports betting to pay off the house.
Especially considering he charges people for picks as well.
For his Discord or whatever. Yeah, it is the weirdest self-promote. I've seen like a lot of weird self-promotion. I mean, logically it makes sense. You want to prove to people like, oh, I've paid off my... But first and foremost, I don't mean to say this in a condescending or demeaning way. We'll come across that way because it's just going to. If you paid off your mortgage by 44, it's really nice. I mean, it's a good thing to... Everyone wants to pay off their mortgage. I hate to break it to you, you're not the best sports bettor in the world if you've paid off your mortgage at the age of 44. I'm going to say, like, if you don't own multiple houses already by that point, you're not even in the 99th percentile. It's nice, but it's not the flex that he thinks it is to real sports bettors, I will say. Second of all, it's just absurd. It's just, who does this? It's weird behavior. It is very weird behavior.
Great tweet from ROI guy.
Men will do anything besides provide proof that they're a winning sports bettor.
Right?
It's true.
True.
Because it would be very easy to prove it.
Yes and no. I mean, because he'll post images.
If you sell your picks, it should be like a very...
If you had a
like there's a
Betstamp.
transaction record
Sure.
of all your what you
100%.
sent. That's kind of what I meant.
Listen, I'm not in the Beau Knows Discord. I don't know what I would venture a guess that he's not keeping track of all the picks that he gives out. I would venture a guess that all the big wins you see on Twitter are just the big wins and you're not seeing losses. You don't see losses on his account. I would also tell you, just based off of the fact that you see screenshots of where he's betting at and the amounts he's betting, they're not
Listen.
letting people bet those amounts that are winning.
One thing, like, listen, playing forensic detective sometimes no, I'm just on the internet, so I see the tweets. In the same way, at Thanksgiving, I see George is playing pickleball at Riviera Country Club. God bless Riviera, all the people in LA, as you mentioned. I'm like, whoa, this is like just a layer to this puzzle.
Yeah.
George has a family member who's like members at Riviera.
Yeah.
I see Bo Wagner like posting pictures. He's at what I believe is in an NBA suite with Michael Rubin.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like that is.
How do you think that happens, Jeff?
Either. I mean, I assume he did not provide like legal services for Rubin, so I assume that he bets a lot at Fanatics, which doesn't even seem possible. But for Bo, it's possible. Mm-hmm. That is my guess, but I don't have more puzzle pieces. I know he's successful. I don't think it's his like entrepreneurship or his legal prowess that has gotten him onto Rubin's radar, but maybe they're old friends. I doubt it.
I don't know the exact reasons. I think that your educated guess is a good one.
I think that's a good guess as well.
All right.
How much money do you have to lose for a photo op with Rubin then?
I see the amounts he's betting. I don't think those are doctored tickets. It could be. I have no idea, but
Are any of your friends able to get down like that at Fanatics?
No. But I will say I have known people who are winning bettors who've gotten into VIP programs.
Oh, of course. That doesn't not everyone in the VIP program is a losing
sometimes
bettor.
they're incorrectly diagnosed and sometimes intentionally incorrectly diagnosed. As your job as a bettor is like kind of lead the sports book off of your scent.
One time I was invited to an old sponsor of ours VIP event with from our boy Hainzer.
Oh yeah.
Right? So
No, 888.
You never know who can get into those VIP programs.
It's true. Alex Monahan tweeted out, "We all agree on Penn State money line, right?" This was Penn State against Notre Dame. He posts a ticket betting Penn State on the money line for $5,000 that was matched by someone else. Follow this up by Chris Dierkes, who did appear on Circles Off. If you ever want to check out that episode, I had a really good conversation with Chris several months ago at FlupNoLide on Twitter. He posts a meme, so to speak, of thanks for the dollars, cuck, with a middle finger, and then posts his ticket at Novig of Notre Dame money line, where, that's a big bet, $48,780 there. So opposite side of Monahan, and he kind of rubbed it in. And it's really weird. It's a funny tweet. Like, let's call it it's a little bit of...
I like the use of what's her name? Caroline?
Yeah.
I like the use of like
Alice.
Caroline or telling off people.
It's
a funny meme. I'm a big fan when people post what they are betting, like in the amounts. So yeah, this is a little bit of a past post, but I respect it. I like Chris. He didn't invite me to his wedding. I'm still pissed about that, but this is a good move and really funny.
I would say that it's definitely better if you could get that out there before the game starts.
Agreed.
And is final. It's
Agreed.
a better look for you. It's still a great look because he bet a lot of money on the game and he won. But also
I don't see this as like the. I mean, I guess it has all the same like layers, so it's just like a more creative way. I don't know. I don't feel like the past posting.
is that big here?
Yeah. Like I feel like he, like Chris is like he bets fucking huge.
Yeah.
So it's not like a secret, and unless you're new or you never followed or seen him before, like whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You guys are familiar with them. You're like always amazed but not surprised. I think at seeing some of the tickets. So he's just like on brand. Like
he also won. He was one of Circus Survivor's winners this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume him and Monahan like they're not enemies, or maybe they are.
No,
I don't think so. I actually think he kind of likes Monahan. I don't want to speak.
But if someone was your enemy, I wouldn't like your internet enemy. I actually like you can call it past posting, but they were like flexing a play, and then I hit it for like 10x, 20x your bet. I'd be like, fuck.
So the beauty of exchanges, right, is that this kind of social stuff can happen. Where, let's say me and you disagree on a game, Jeff. we're going to go bet it at our respective sports books and we might disagree and whatever. I might win. I'll post the ticket, but like you're not involved in that in any way. This is literally now someone putting a lot of money down. $5,000 wager, which Monahan put down.
It's a lot of money.
It's for 99% of people, that is a large amount of money. So he's putting that down. That's a big bet. For someone to match on the other side and then talk shit to him on Twitter afterwards, that's the beauty of the exchange model, is you actually have this peer-to-peer, head-to-head. I think this is going to be like the norm in a few years if the sweepstakes models work and the exchanges keep growing. You know how much I'd love to bury someone if I know that they're on the other side of a game and I can bet against them afterwards and then rub it in their face afterwards?
You and Farley, next time you guys
I like
post my
Novig.
positions beforehand.
Novig has really grown on me, both in their like social
Yeah.
They're social people. Even though I feel like I've been miscast, like I'm in this group of like bettors when I'm just more like the guy in the crowd eating the popcorn. But I'm happy to be included. But I like
nothing against
like
the brand.
them.
I think the social account is very hit or miss.
That's,
I love
that's social.
I know, but it's doing the job that they wanted to do.
What do you want? Like, okay, if I was hiring someone to run social, I'd want the hit or miss.
You want them to generate
like
engagement.
some like mainline thing that no one like. Who gives a shit? I'd
Yeah,
rather
but-
you strike out a bunch and then give me some Adam Dunn action.
Well, but
moonshots.
So here's an example of what I mean. Like we talked about it on the show. Like, what table will you sit at? Right, type of thing. That to me.
And then they did a tiers one.
They did.
I was in the dead last at the fucking bottom.
I don't even
didn't
care what tiers are.
I liked it.
I don't give a shit
I
about
liked
the tiers.
it.
But it's like, it's. I guess this is intentional in a way. It's just mixing people from one side of gambling Twitter with the other.
Good.
But it doesn't really make, like, I'm not going to interact with that because I don't even know who the fuck half
You're
these
right.
people are.
You're right. I actually saw the girl that was at my table at lunch had a tweet not understanding why books were posting like hypothetical playoff matchups.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, well, we're not going to have fun at the table anymore. But that's okay. That's fine. On the other side, I refer to like the ecosystem a lot. And even though like people who are like really sharp bettors, they don't consider themselves in like the same like planet as like the squares or the bookets or any of that. I love that Novig is like, no, I'm taking like the model projection guys
and mixing
and
them
like
in.
the bookets and like boom and like let's throw them in a pot together and see that. And maybe, I mean, like collabs isn't the right word, but who knows?
Maybe there will be some.
Novig invited me on one of those
On what? On like a Twitter space?
a Twitter space.
Yeah.
Do you know why though? Because they had Mathis on last week, and I sent a comment in reply, like having Mathis on audio only.
Big mistake. Agreed.
Like that
didn't
is,
make a lot
like,
of sense to me.
That's like parking your Lamborghini in the ghetto. Like I don't understand. Like Mathis audio only. Who the fuck's you're gonna
one of their misses.
like you don't utilize Mathis as chief betting officer at
Chief
Novik?
winning officer.
Chief winning
CWO.
officer. But not audio only.
I know.
We don't win by audio only Mathis. There are no winners in an audio only Mathis world.
I agree. No one's tuning in for that.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. All right.
That's all. And then that led them to invite me, and maybe, you never know, maybe I'll show up.
A little bit of a thought-provoking discussion to end here. I saw this from the Alt Burner account. He says, fuck it, I'll say it. The quote-unquote sports betting is dead crowd are flat out wrong. The amount of mouth-breathing morons in this space that are still churning a profit, myself included, is unsustainable. The shipper, Ship to Justice, says the North American market right now is the second best time and place to be alive as a sports bettor, right after being alive in North America 4 years ago.
4 years ago was great.
Yeah. I made some mistakes 4 years ago. I went a little too hard too early.
You
and
lost
I really
things quickly?
I made mistakes. I would like to press the reset button.
But you didn't, yeah.
Is that like when legalization?
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. Like right at legalization.
Also, from a content perspective, like the amount of, if you like thought you were doing content and you weren't getting like paid 4 years ago to do content, is probably a sign you should retire from content because the amount of money that was just like flying around to anyone talking sports.
It's true.
With betting with a microphone was crazy.
I mean, we were doing it at the Hammer. We were paying all sorts of money in the early going. It happened. It was a good time.
But you were just part. Everyone was.
Everyone
was.
Is if there is a sports betting is dead crowd, I don't see it. Like,
I that's what I was thinking as well. Like, I agree mostly with this tweet. I would say that the most noticeable thing for me, and I think I've said this on here before, is that the real low-hanging fruit edge shooting stuff is mostly gone. Like, there are a lot of things that kind of were super obvious that are now gone. Like, teaser's a good example.
Or like
I think
week 18
did you stuff a
Senate.
lozenge into your mouth there?
Yeah, I'm coughing.
You're coughing up a storm
Coughing
there.
up a storm here. But I agree. I think you see how many people are still winning using Odds Jam and have Odds Jam in their caption. Like, there's still so many ways to
My
win.
thoughts to this would be like, just watch the show. We just did like an hour. There's dude out here saying CLV doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, so there's the other side. How could it be dead? There's still enough people in the ecosystem betting into the markets that ignore everything you deem valuable. How does that not? They might be harder to find.
Yeah.
And you got to look harder, but there's more sites and more places to try to find it. So yeah, I can't imagine it's dead as long as we're going to start shows with the CLV is a myth, and then people going on tweet storms telling model projection guys that they're like they're doing
when
it
he's
wrong.
referring to sports betting is dead, though, I think what he's saying is that there are people who think that like the time to earn has passed, right? It's in the past, and I get that perspective because in the last couple years there is a breed of, let's just say the market has pushed towards top down.
Yeah.
More so than, like, there's more people betting top down now than ever in history. This is people who are just using the sharp sports books for different
they're paying
props.
for services.
Paying
do
for
it for them.
There's more than that. And you know what inevitably happens? You know what happens when you use Odds Jam? Your accounts get burned because there's so many people who are betting the same stuff in real time as you that you lose. And what I get one message, one DM on Twitter more than anything by a mile. And it's, Rob, I'm losing all my accounts. What can I do? And the immediate response is, okay, what are you betting? And it's all top-down bettors. And that's not saying it's not a viable way to bet. You just have to be really smart about it, and you have to put in work to convince the sportsbook that you're not going to lose. And too many people are not doing
But isn't
that.
the sportsbook just getting like way smarter? Like,
Honestly,
even
not
the work,
as much as you think.
even
yeah.
though like, isn't there like AI to like, they can like tell when you're trying to trick them with your Korean baseball shit? I don't know.
I think at some point maybe there will be. I don't think we're that sophisticated because at this point I don't. Shipper ironically used to work for PointsBet back in the day, and was known to limit people really quickly. They just didn't care at that point. How many people are limited at these sports books that shouldn't even be limited?
I'm limited at PointsBet, and I didn't even get a set because I got like 10 good points on a Tom Kim outright.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me how much money I lost on Tom
to
Kim
the
last
point,
summer.
Your point, I don't think there's this like huge level of sophistication. I just think that there's like, well, maybe this guy is sharp. We're not going to take our chances type of situation.
Yeah, because I bet on the open. I like a number, but I'm not. Whatever.
I think the fact that there are so many top-down bettors just clearly shows that there's a lot of ways to make money doing this. And also, I like there being a lot of top-down bettors because I want that to be what DraftKings and FanDuel are focused on shutting down.
Right.
And it being good for us originators.
I completely agree with you. So, I mean, I would agree. I think that people are starting to hit a breaking point, or there's a lot of people that are in the space
Like,
now.
it's so much harder that it's not worth the effort.
Yeah, like I don't want to like multi-account or get other accounts somewhere else. Like, there's people who are hitting the end of the road for them. I made really good money, made a couple $100,000 for a few years, and now it's a portion of that because I don't have the accounts to bet into. And that to me is what I constitute as like the sports betting is dead crowd. But there are really creative ways to win. There's also, like, if you were originating a market instead of being a top-down bettor, you probably could last a while longer going that route, especially if it's a major market. So, I mean, the real I mean, the truth is we have more sports books than ever that are in the marketplace right now, and that should be a great time for sports bettors. It shouldn't kill it.
Yeah, you would think. I remember I was so excited for like the amount of competition in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, there's so much competition. Like I can't wait. Remember like the first year, like the 4 years ago, the first Masters. It's like I can't wait. There'll be so many books. They're gonna be like fighting. They're gonna be like fighting to like give me the best numbers. I don't know. This
No.
No, it's not really like that.
Yeah, no, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
But I just
we'll
thought
look back on this in 5 years from now. Very much sports betting could be dead.
5 years from now.
There might be consolidation
or more.
to like.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't even think it's a hot take. And I'm not going to go on a rant. But in our lifetime, we will see someone like of the LeBron James ilk, no fault of his own,
Yeah.
dragged in front of Congress, a congressional hearing to talk about his role in like sports betting commercials.
Yeah.
He's not going to be like under fire. It won't be his fault. But like
But
a
he'll
lot
do
of these high-end celebrities
Yeah.
who have profited and made money from like the promotion, and others people will be far more guilty, like the people behind the scenes. They will be dragged in front of government
Yeah.
to have to answer for things that happened in this time frame. I believe that.
I could see that. Anyways, we're going to leave it on that. As a reminder, if you made it all the way to the end here, I'm sure you enjoyed the show. You wouldn't be watching to the end. Smash that like button down below. If you're new here and this is the first time you watch, make sure you hit that subscribe button here on Circles Off. Set notifications, and you'll get notified every time we drop a new episode. And of course, your comments are always welcome. I read them all every single week, whether it's positive, negative, doesn't matter. Feedback is appreciated. If you have any opinions on these topics, post them down below. And of course, on Twitter, #CircleBack. We review that hashtag every single week to determine the rundown for this week's show. Rob Pizzola, Kirk Evans, Jeff Feinberg, Jacob Grumania. We'll see you next time. Peace out.